Tyler James Freehon, 25, of Iwa Beach, Hawaii, and Private Isabella Gonzalez, 19, of Carrollton, Texas, both lost their lives in Jordan over the weekend. Another service member died, controlled detonation of unexploded Iranian, looked like an attack drone in Iraq, northern Iraq, Sunday. And so we had one other that went missing after the attack in Jordan on Saturday, and they found some remains nearby. They're doing the DNA testing on all that. The names will continue to come to us, and we will share those names with you as we get them. The way the military works is they inform the next of kin as soon as possible, and then they give the next of kin 24 hours to inform other family members before they release it to the media. So that's why it's Monday, and we're just now getting the names of those who died in action on Saturday. But obviously, Iran has decided, they're going to go down. They're not going to go down without a fight, and so it is time to just utterly and completely destroy these people. Rip it out by the root, Mr. President. Destroy these people. Not even one of the regime standing. Iran is now attacking the civilian infrastructure in the Gulf. They went to Kuwait and they blew up a bunch of power stations and water desalination plants. 90% of the water in the Gulf region comes from desalination. They don't have any water. They pull it out of the ocean and they take the salt out of it, and that's how they use it. Meanwhile, there's no media report this morning the fact that oil prices are going down, not up. Right. They're not escalating on all this as you would think. They're going down, but the media is not going to call any attention to that because it makes President Trump look good. And Iran's homosexual leader is no longer in Iran. We now have confirmation that he has left Iran. We don't know where he is. Intel sources are saying that he's abandoned Iran. Of course, he hasn't appeared in public since his daddy was killed and he was appointed as the leader. So we don't even know if he's alive. We have no idea. There's been absolutely no proof. There's been tweets with his name attached, but anybody can do that. So things are, basically, who knows what's going on in that part of the country. The president said yesterday, first of all, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Destruction on Saturday, said their deaths, meaning our deaths on our side, only strengthen our resolve. And the president yesterday said we are continuing to attack their plans on getting a nuclear weapon. He's still bringing that up, or going nuclear, and he continues to bring that up as being the single focus of the mission. So that's where his head is.
I think, didn't he say also he didn't give a crap or doesn't care about the MOU or the memorandum of understanding? I guess we're beyond that. I don't know. It's we've lost 16 people altogether. We've been hammering them for 9 nights in a row. How are they able to do anything? I agree. They're not going down without a fight. They're religious nuts. They don't care. You can't, in a sense, you can't keep kicking at somebody like that because the more you kick them, the more they figure they're going to heaven. So, there's never, ever going to be a moment with these people where, they're like, all right, we've had enough. Let's sit down and talk. It's just not going to happen. But we have been hammering them for 9 nights in a row. I mean, to me, I agree with you. First off, I think we need to finish this. This needs to be done with. You need to kill every last member of the regime and just cut them out like a cancer, to use the president's own words from last week. But it is going on. I mean, again, if the full might of the most powerful military on the planet is hitting these people and hitting them hard, how are they able to do anything? Let alone kill, 3 service members. It's troubling.
Well, and I'm not one of those who's saying this is a quagmire. That's ridiculous. We've been at this for 5 months now. 5 months does not equal a quagmire. We're not mired down with Iran. But Iran, this is, again, I know I sound so repetitive, but I don't care. This is what Iran does. This is how they always have played this game for 47 years. This is an advantage of being an old man at 62. I've watched this crap from these people for 47 years, and they've done it to every United States president since Jimmy Carter. And again, Carter should have finished it. But since he didn't, none of the rest of them finished it either. And we're to a point now where either we crap or move on. That's the the old saying. And so that's where we are with these people. And you're not going to be able to do these, little strike here, a little strike there, a little strike here, a little strike there, and get them to do anything different than what they're doing. It's not that's not how they think. That's not in their MO. A lot of it is the religiosity to it, because they've got to continue on the mission to destroy Israel and the United States if their Messiah is going to come. But that's not that's also you could apply that to other people who aren't religious zealots. They're just
they're not going to give it up.
No,
if
they're
they
not.
Think they're going to heaven. I've been saying that for a while.
They're not. They're not going to give this up. They're going to continue the way that they're continuing, because they've done it for 47 years, and there is no end to them other than to be utterly destroyed. And we got ourselves into this thing, so let's finish it. You started it, let's finish it. We started it, let's finish it.
Again, what the hell are we doing? Again, if we're hitting them with everything we got nine nights in a row, and they're still able to attack stuff, then it doesn't seem like we're going full on with this thing, and that's what we need to do. I mean, I agree. We need time to finish it, man.
The president said they have no capabilities, that Iran's, we've decimated all their military. They have no more military capabilities. Well, we have 4 dead this morning, so
they had enough for that.
They have some capabilities remaining, and it's time we remove that. Okay, all right. Since it's Monday and we're moving on, we got a lot of other stuff to go into. Babylon Bee headline this morning: Texas approves the death penalty for anyone who starts today with Happy Monday, team. and then there was this.
So as we gather for one final chapter, let us celebrate a tournament that brought the world together. Let us celebrate each other. This is football. This is unity. And this is greatness.
That is Tom Cruise with no teleprompter, no earpiece, just him, and then this happened. That is so awesome. That was the beginning of the final at the World Cup yesterday. And it wasn't Argentina that won, and it wasn't the United States that won. It wasn't Nigeria that won. I was thinking Nigeria was going to pull it out at the end.
Were you hoping Nigeria would have a good day? Huh?
Them or Bora Bora, somebody like that was going to have to get a chance at this eventually. But no, the Spaniards. Oh, yeah, the Spaniards, the conquistadors. They're the ones that pulled this.
That's what he said, man. Christian Kennedy, they were conquistadors.
Well, no, he is supporting Spain because that's where his wife is from, correct? And Jimmy wore his American jersey in today. No, it's not America. Which one is that? I can't see you. You're in the dark.
I'm always going to be in the dark because I hate fluorescent lights. No, this is the Cape Verde jersey.
Okay.
The country that shocked the world.
Okay.
So I respect them. They were a story throughout the World Cup, so I wanted to wrap up the World Cup with the Cabo Verde.
Now, guys, everybody was saying that this was the most amazing World Cup in the history of the world, that Trump did pull it off.
Until the final yesterday. Yes, it was.
Right.
Yesterday was boring.
Oh, so
it was a boring game?
Okay.
Oh,
it was.
God. Oh, really?
I have a few observations. Let me share them.
God.
Okay?
Go ahead.
You guys need more scoring. You got to do something to get the scoring up, man. This 1-0 at the end, because it's
That's
just.
what I was going to say.
Why? Baseball's 1-0.
I know that. Well, you know how I feel about that too.
I want to hear criticism on baseball.
You do. Listen to the show sometime. You will. The halftime criticism. The one thing there was, there's been criticism online about the halftime show.
Right.
At least there was no America Bad Bunny hate. There was none of that crap about America
That's a
sucks
valid
and all
point.
that.
That's
no,
a valid point.
Seriously, people were upset about it, but I'm like, Shakira's hip looked good, and Madonna looks old as crap.
My take was Madonna looked old, and Justin Bieber just always looks sad.
Well, that's him.
Guy just looks so sad, man.
But, at least they didn't hate on our country, so I'm all right with that. And my final observation. This is the World Cup for the world.
Yep.
This is the World Cup for the entire globe. Why do you have such a little dinky trophy? Man, you guys need like a Stanley Cup size, be even bigger than it. This is the World Cup,
I was
y'all.
thinking
I said
that
this
too.
a decade
Players.
ago.
Why is
It looks like a bowling trophy.
Why is this thing
It's
like that?
proportional to the little players.
Is that
It's
what it
just
is?
It's a tiny
The
little
little
thing, man.
players?
Well-
Anyway, so why is it so small?
Because
I had the same question a decade ago. When
Did
I
you
started-
really?
Yeah.
And you're a soccer guy.
well,
He's
but,
new.
but I wasn't really before about 13 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to say the same thing. You guys got to score more. Soccer's only popular because it costs a dime to make a team, and then over time things change. And
That's what we were
yeah.
talking about the other day, Sean. Remember?
What's that?
They got to score more.
No,
Yes,
they,
Elaine and I jumped in on that one. Like, if only they would score more.
they don't need American viewers. That's why your criticisms are null and void.
I don't care.
And
No,
what
but
about
void.
but listen, what about the third place game between
That was 10 goals, 4 to
Yeah,
6.
you
That
had-
was amazing.
I got plenty of scoring.
That's why I said yes. That's why I
Oh,
said
boy.
yesterday was kind of boring. Is because both of those teams can just pass the ball and possess
Well,
it.
it still doesn't answer the
Yes.
question about a dinky trophy. Come on.
It's
I
a,
can't
it, looks like
answer it.
something,
Come
it looks
on.
like something you get out of a skill crane.
This is the freaking World Cup, man. This thing ought to be
well,
like.
then why are the Olympic medals so small,
Ru-
Trey?
Well, that's
they should be
exactly.
the size of Flavor Flav's
Exactly. I agree with you. They should
That was
be.
a trophy made.
You ought to put
made
that
in
around
China.
somebody's neck and it can barely walk because it's pulling them down, man.
Wow.
I mean, look at the
Trophy made in
Stanley
China?
Cup. Look at the Stanley Cup. Okay.
Well, isn't that kind of big? There's a World Cup right there. Well,
It's-
they just took it off.
yeah,
TV.
it's a tiny
it's just a little thing,
Okay,
man.
the
little
Stanley
bitty
Cup
thing,
is
man.
so big because they engrave every team that wins,
Yes.
and so they keep adding to it.
Yes.
The World Cup does not do that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's why it's just
It's different.
The Harley Earl Trophy for the Daytona 500 has the face of every Daytona 500 winner on it.
Wow.
From 1949 until now. So it's gigantic. It's as tall as a human. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I won a lip syncing contest about a year ago and got a trophy that's as tall as I am.
Get out.
I did. I was singing a Madonna song.
I got to hear this. What was
No.
it, like a virgin?
Yeah, it was actually.
Lucky guess.
You got a break.
I just want my living room back. That's all.
Okay. More Ware and Rima. 623. Ware and Rima, Monday, KTSA.
Well, a couple of things. First off, I saw a few things over the weekend where I guess Trump's to blame for the lettuce diarrhea bug, because he's decimated healthcare in America. He's also simultaneously, Trey, decimated the climate. So it's the fact that people are getting this bug is Donald Trump's fault. I just want to make sure that we establish that.
Democrat Senator Patty Murray started that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course it's his fault.
Yeah.
We did have a mass shooting in Tucson, I believe late yesterday. It was kind of I guess what you would call a party district in Tucson, and somebody opened fire. A little under a dozen people were hit. Cops went after the guy or whomever, and that person is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. But the part of the story that kind of got me is Mayor Regina Romero immediately started blaming lax gun safety laws. Easy access to guns and Arizona's weak gun safety laws have continued to put us all at risk, from requiring universal background checks to extreme risk laws to funding violence prevention. There is more lawmakers can and should do. You and I have talked about this before, that whenever you'd have a mass shooting, and you and I have also discussed as to why that stuff happens. Many times there is some kind of depression med connection. One of the things that I see as far as one of the leading inspirations for doing this is internet fame. But it used to be after a mass shooting, there'd be at least a day or two before you'd start hearing about gun laws. In other words, before it starts going political. That grace period is long gone now. It's immediately, if you're talking about a Democrat mayor or governor of a city or state where there's a mass shooting, they immediately start jumping on the gun laws, and we need more gun laws to prevent this sort of thing. And yet, as we point out on this show, you can't point to a single model of a single city in this country where heavy-handed gun laws have done anything but encourage and prop up gun violence, because the bad guys don't, I know this is odd, but they don't follow the laws. They're not interested in following the laws, so it doesn't matter how many laws you have in the books. It just sort of disarms the people who are law-abiding citizens. And here we are once again. First opening statement.
Yeah.
First response to this tragedy.
Well, and following the one in Tucson, there was one in Minneapolis last night, and you had a number of people that were shot up there, and Chicago was another killing field this weekend. I've said that so many times, Sean, about, the bad guys don't follow the laws. You can pass all the gun laws you want to. It only restricts, law-abiding citizens such as myself. I'm tired of saying it. These people, the reason they jump on it, the Democrats immediately, first of all, they're a death cult. So when they see that, they get a little giddy about it because it gives them an opportunity to push their agenda once again. But they also know we live in a 3-second world. Now, it's not an 8-second world anymore. It's a 3-second world. And this story is going to be gone. It probably is already. We're talking about it, but after that, it's probably not even going to be discussed ever again. And so they have to jump on it immediately and make hay while they can. That's what they're doing. But nobody's listening to them anymore. They can say everything they want to about keep your thoughts and prayers. I don't want to hear about your thoughts and prayers. None of us who care about who are responsible gun owners and who care about peace and safety of our families could give a crap less about what they say. I'm surely not giving mine up. The more these things happen, it just stiffens our resolve.
Well, yeah, and I would, and the guys at Breitbart refer to quote-unquote normal people. Normal people see right through this crap. Mm-hmm. Normal people, and that's the thing about the entire Democrat agenda, really, if you think about it, which is, sliding into communism. It's the only political agenda or policy list where none of it has to work, where you don't have to prop up any of it with actual real-world examples that show you, well, this is this is what why an open border is good. Well, this is why government-mandated health insurance and government-owned health insurance works. Well, this is why more restrictive gun laws work, because we can see it here. You can't point to any city in this country where any of these policies work.
Their whole agenda is based on emotion, not on fact or logic. It's all emotion, not logic. And so that's where they are, and they're not going to change from that. We have really big issues about these people and this whole communism thing that they're pushing right now because they're making a lot of money, and the Republicans are about to lose the midterms. We'll talk about that when we come back. More Ware and Rima coming up here in Texas. HEAR here in Texas is the place to go to have your hearing checked out. They have 2 great locations. One in Dripping Springs and the other right over here in New Braunfels. And when you go see our friends at Here in Texas, they've got a lot of these audiologists that are highly qualified, very easy to get along with, folks. They just test your hearing, and then if you need some correction with that, they will give you the options that are available to you for that correction through the hearing aids and so on. And they truly have made a big difference in my life and in Sean's life. We are so much better off now that we have a relationship with Here in Texas, and they're helping our hearing get better over time. That's what it's all about, too. They don't just give you hearing aids and then tell you, bye, we'll see you at some point. No, they make sure that they're on top of you, follow through, making sure that you are getting the maximum benefit out of your Here in Texas hearing aids. In fact, you are connected through Wi-Fi and through the internet with them. In case you ever have a question, you just punch a button, and they can look at your hearing aids. They can see the mapping of it. They can see what you hear, and they can make adjustments from their office no matter where you are on planet Earth. The technology is amazing. The quality of your life is worth it. Go see our friends at HEAR here in Texas, here in TX.com.
News Talk 550 KTSA and the Gomez Law Firm present the 2026 Back to School Drive.
Well, so Canyon Lake is over 100%. Travis is at 107. I cannot believe I'm saying that about Lake Travis. Can't remember the last time it was that high. And it's down in downtown Austin now at Town Lake and all that, because what's up north is coming down south. And that is a big deal for those down around the Dry Frio, the Nueces, down to our southwest, because all that stuff that was up around Uvalde and everywhere, it's now starting to make its way down south. So everybody down south, as I was saying last week, here it comes. You better look out, because the surge is coming. But Canyon Lake did what it was designed to do when it was built, and it held all that water from the upper Guadalupe, and it went up. And we haven't seen a full Canyon Lake, and I don't know the last time. And I saw Kim Holter and down on the Lone Star Float House, and some pictures over the weekend, and everybody was having a good time. Crown Over was down there; they were all having a good time along the river. So that all looks really, really good. We are watching a depression over in the Gulf of America that is just south of Destin Beach, Pensacola, Florida. It's very unorganized. If it gets organized, it has a chance of coming west, but it would come through, like on land through New Orleans, and then on through there, and then Beaumont and all that before we'd even think about it. So it's not a major concern. We'll just watch it this week and see if it gets organized. If it does get organized, it turns into a tropical depression. It'll be Bertha, and then see if it continues to grow. The water in the Gulf around there is very warm right now, so it has that potential. It's got lots of fuel to heat up, so we'll see what it does. Heard a lot of people talk over the weekend about how the flood warnings, the sirens, the text messages, the voice warnings, those sirens also have voice that comes out. It says, you got a bad situation coming. That it worked excellently because people picked up and left, and that saved a lot of lives. So,
yeah, well, I mean, altogether, we lost 2 people, and we don't, we're not trying to diminish that at all, the families who are now grieving. But overall, when you look at the amount of water that fell, and again, maybe unfairly compared to last year, which happened on July 4th, and you had a lot of people along the river, and a lot of camps were full. We got through it pretty good, as far as anybody can tell.
Really
I guess
did.
all these systems really, really worked. And, this, advance information, advance warning makes all the difference in the world. So I'm glad things turned out the way they did.
Well,
a lot of people had damage, and there's all kinds of, flooding damage, but not as much loss of life as it could have been.
Yeah, and the advance warning does make all the difference. It's heeding the advance warning. You got to do something about it. When you hear it, you got to get up and you got to go. And that's what people did this time. They got up and they went and they took off and said, we're not going to hang around to see what happens. And that made a huge, huge difference. We did have some people who were in a couple of the rivers, I think the Frio and possibly the upper Guadalupe, that went missing for a while, but they're all present and accounted for now. They found
so
them.
everybody's accounted for as far as
I
at
know.
this point. Okay, good.
Now, what boaters will tell you, and you go to a place like Travis, it's 107% full now, or Canyon. Last I saw on it was like 103% full. There's going to be a lot of junk in there. Until it settles, there's going to be a lot of wood. There's tree limbs and all that kind of stuff. So it'll mess up your prop, but all the boaters know that.
Right.
They
know that going into it. Yeah.
Not to mess with it.
Wow.
Well, okay, so the midterms will be here before you know it. We're always talking about how fast time goes, right? Midterms will be here before you know it. And if the Republicans lose the midterms and turn it over to the Democrats, it will be because of their own malfeasance of their own choices that they are making right now, concerning, of course, the Save America Act. There are never Trump Republicans who are purposefully trying to throw this away in order to hurt Donald Trump. They know the stakes of losing the midterms. The stakes are extremely high. Number one stake is Donald Trump will be impeached if the Democrats get into Congress. That's going to happen. Will he be removed? We don't know. It depends on what the Democrats in the Senate do, if they're able to put together enough people to make that happen. But it takes a lot of people to remove a sitting president. So maybe not. But the fact of the matter is, the never-Trump Republicans will be responsible for the Republican Party losing control. And what is so unbelievable about this is that They have control of all three branches of government. The Republicans do. So there's no reason why it shouldn't pass. The most popular piece of legislation to come along, and I don't know how long, probably our lifetimes. And because they are never Trump Republicans and they want him gone or they want him to be hamstrung in his agenda, they are now trying to throw this thing away. If they don't get this thing passed, there's going to be a lot of Republicans, and I do mean MAGA Republicans too, who are just going to stay home and they're not going to go out and vote.
Well, I imagine if we lose the midterms, I think we lose the whole circus really in time. And look, the thing to remind folks is it's not just about Trump. As far as what they're saying, they're going to go after Trump supporters. They're going to go after everybody and anybody connected to him. It's going to be a real vengeance ride. And as far as Republicans who are holding off on the Save America Act, again, as we've been saying, well, they obviously don't want fair elections in America. They obviously feel they benefit from the way things are now, whether it's for money or power or whatever the reason is.
That's part of it. But the other part is they hate Trump, the Republicans I'm talking about.
Right.
Because the Democrats are the ones who benefit from unfair cheating.
Well, we know that.
Cheated
Yeah,
elections.
of course they do.
Republicans don't benefit from that as much as Democrats do, but what the never-Trump Republicans will benefit from is Donald Trump. He will be hamstrung. He will be neutered, if you will. And chances are he's going to be impeached for yet a third. Well, he will be impeached for a third time.
Right.
That will happen.
Right. My point was that if you're not fighting for it, if you're a Republican, you're fighting against it, you obviously feel you get some kind of benefit over fighting it.
That's it.
Either way, neither side gives a crap about what the American people want because overwhelmingly the American people want this.
And they've made it perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Here's Stephen Miller.
Garden. Was setting a question to Olive Garden management, asking if their all-you-can-eat summer pass could be shared with their family members. And the Olive Garden corporate replied, and they said, no, your card has a barcode that relates solely to you, and you must present a photo ID with your all-you-can-eat pasta pass in order to access all-you-can-eat pasta. So we've reached the point as a society where access to fettuccine at Olive Garden is vastly more secure than deciding who is commander-in-chief of the country.
I brought that up on Friday when all of them sold out in no time at all, and you have to show a photo ID. Now, James Tallarico, some new numbers came in on the Democrat fundraising across the country, and they are far outraising the Republicans. Now, Republicans have a lot more money in the bank, the Democrats do, but the money is just pouring. And I do mean pour, like last week's Texas deluge into the Democrat checking accounts from all over the world, by the way, because there's a lot of special interests on the other side of the globe that want to see the Republicans go down to this country.
Sure.
And for the reasons that I present to you, and that is it neuters President Trump. And so people in Iran and everywhere else have been giving to the Democrats. James Tallarico is the second fundraiser. Number one is John Ossoff out in Georgia. Number two is Tallarico, who has over $70 million that he has raised here in the past couple of weeks. What does he have to say about voter ID? Well, let's listen to his own words. This is him speaking out of his own mouth. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was the anchor at the time when he made these comments.
Are you okay with voter ID?
So voter ID is currently required in the state of Texas. I opposed having to
How about
have
for
a driver's
mail-in
license
ballots?
to vote.
How about having to send your ballot in? Should you have to prove who
Sorry,
you are? Because that's
Pete,
what Democrats are opposing.
Pete, I just said I oppose voter ID. Currently, it's a law in Texas, but I oppose that law because I think you don't need it.
You oppose voter ID? You don't think the most sacred obligation of our republic, you should have to prove who you are in order to vote?
So there are a lot of Texans, actually hundreds of thousands, who don't have a driver's license.
So he's obviously opposed to it. Somebody who was opposed to reforming the system, something we've talked about over and over again. We brought it up again last week. And I'm a firm believer in one day, and I said we could move it to Saturday as far as I'm concerned and do paper balloting in one day. Let's go back to 2019. 2019, the vice presidential candidate in 2019 said this.
The best and most secure way to conduct elections, paper ballots. Because the way that I say it, kind of half joking, Russia can't hack a piece of paper.
And we have a bill that basically would requires states to upgrade their elections infrastructure, because guess what? Going like back to the future, best and smartest way to conduct voting, paper ballots.
Paper ballots. I joke and I say paper ballots because Russia can't hack a piece of paper.
And then, of course, she went on The View and said the same thing.
And you said something I have been saying forever and ever, and I'm going to say 45 seconds. You've been saying that it's time for us to go back to paper ballots. Why?
Because Russia can't hack a piece of paper. That's right.
So after Trump made his speech on Thursday night, she and the rest of the Democrats were opposed to going to paper ballots and opposed to going to more restrictive voting by mail and all that kind of stuff. So that's all changed since 2019, right?
Well,
it's all
they're
different.
hypocrites. You can operate from whatever standard you need at the time. But, I mean, they were all about paper ballots and all about the basic stuff of the Save America Act when they were pushing the Russian collusion narrative, which we also know now was bullcrap. So this is standard fare for Democrats. They're just going to change up their opinions depending on what they need to say at any given moment. But if we don't, I mean, I don't have much faith that this is going to happen, the Save America Act, and I think without that we lose the country at some point.
We lose the country immediately because what happens is, number one, as I said, Trump becomes neutered. He becomes ineffective as a president. They hold him. He won't be able to do anything with the Democrat Congress. But the other thing that happens is the socialists that are actually communists get a firmer foothold, and they become stronger and more powerful within the Democrat Party. And when they become more powerful, once they're in office, once they win their seats and they're in office, stuff flies.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
it hits the fan.
It becomes a domino effect where they consolidate more and more power because that's what communists do.
Right.
And not to mention they will be taking revenge apparently on a whole lot of people circling around Donald Trump. It's not just going to be about impeaching him. It's going to be about destroying the movement itself, so it can never threaten them again.
Well, let's give you an example, a real world example, then we'll break. Mom Donnie said over the weekend he wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. He's said this many, many times.
Right.
He ran on that, in fact. Bibi's coming in September for a UN meeting. He has asked the local police if there is a way that he can arrest them. Look, all he's doing with Netanyahu, he's doing something that's very popular with his base, which is anti-Israel. We've got to destroy Israel, and so let's arrest the Israeli leader. He's a war criminal. But it is a test case for what you're saying. In that, okay, so we were able to do it with Bibi, or maybe we weren't, but we sure can get all those red hat wearing weirdos that followed Donald Trump.
Well,
we need to start arresting. That's right.
We're a threat.
You're all war criminals.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, absolutely.
So, more Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA. Sunny and a high of 96 today, 73 right now. KTSA. Hear him this afternoon on our sports station. We are Ware and Rima, 653 KTSA.
Well, a couple of little stories here. First off, Paul Pelosi is facing, quote, 6 months in jail, in county jail, and a fine of $1,000 for slamming into somebody and leaving the scene of the crime or scene of the crash. I know you're probably having the same reaction I did, which is he ain't going to do 6 months in jail.
22, he was given a year, and he did 2 days.
Yeah, that was for a DUI.
Right.
13 years ago, he hit somebody else. He's got – I didn't realize the dude's collected like 8 violations, driving violations over the course of his adult life.
He flipped a car when he was 19 and killed his brother.
Killed his brother. And all I can say is that if you or me or anybody else had the same driving record, we'd have done some time after that DUI.
If you and I were doing insider trading, we'd do time. Ask Martha Stewart.
Excellent point. Yes, exactly. So, are there two Americas? You're damn right there are, man. Do some people live in a different America than the rest of us? You're damn right. Are they conservatives and liberals? You're damn right. And Paul Pelosi, is going to probably skate, and nothing bad's going to happen to him. Poor little guy.
When he was arrested, he said, I'm a guy of high prominence, right?
Yes. Oh, God. Did you see it? Was it Sunny Hostin? There's some video over the weekend where her grown-ass son is trespassing on a railroad or something.
I brought that up last week, and so over the weekend they finally released the video. I've got it up on the X account. We'll play it a little bit later on. But, yeah, she's out there throwing her weight around. I'm on The View.
I'm on The View.
Prosecutor.
And he didn't mean it, and he didn't see the sign.
That's my son. He's a Harvard graduate.
Oh, God. Yes. Oh, God. I watched it last night and wanted to vomit, man. Another point of contention or a point of almost vomiting had to do with we didn't really cover it too deeply because of the flooding late last week, but this debate between the folks who would take Graham Plattner's space in the primary. Ashley Webb is a very unattractive trans dude. And there was some video circulating over the weekend where he claims to menstruate. He claims that he ovulates, that he produces a great deal of testosterone, but also estrogen, and that he goes through the monthly cycle, Trey, and he ovulates. And no, you don't, man. You really just don't. Like, that doesn't happen to you. And I don't know why more women on the left aren't pissed off by the fact that the trans movement is just kind of co-opting everything that's everything that requires a woman to be a strong person, just by inherently their own biology. They give birth. They go through the cycle. These are things that you and I don't have to deal with in our biology. And all these dudes are rolling up all of a sudden claiming that they experience the pain and suffering of women, and it's such a bunch of crap.
Women have it so much harder than men, and that's true biological women. For those who didn't hear it, this is what I played last week.
I did run, and then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books, and then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't.
And he says, like you're talking about, he menstruates through his colon.
The hell he does, man.
That's called leaking, and they have diapers for that, sir.
That's what he said.
And and these dudes.
It's on the X account. You want to see it?
Yeah, I remember we kind of touched on it last week, but over the weekend, the menstruating thing came out, and he ovulates, he menstruates through his colon, and this is the Orwellian nightmare. This is the far edge of the Orwellian nightmare where you get people to agree to absurd things which they know in their minds is absolute bullcrap.
Back in a minute, more Ware and Rima, KTSA.
At Pride Floors, we believe a strong community starts.
Canyon Lake at 100%. Lake Travis is way up as well. Things are looking good after last week, and all the warning systems seem to have worked extremely well. So there's a lot of talk this weekend, and has been for quite some time since they started this rise, the DSA, the communist of America. And the face of the communists in America right now is Mom Donnie, who wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu when he comes here in September. Right. So,
but he's not an anti-Semite or nothing, no.
No, not at all. Hey, speaking of that, in Queens, New York over the weekend, somebody threw motor oil and feces at 2 synagogues up there. So when you open the floodgates and you let the third world in and the crazies from around the world, this is the kind of thing you get, okay? We have this huge anti-Semitic movement that's going on in the United States right now, synagogues and churches,
right.
but a lot of synagogues. In fact, Jews in America are starting to hide their Star of David necklaces.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Shirt. Yeah. Well, that's what one of them said. He's a Holocaust survivor. He's 94. He was a child when his mom was killed in Dachau. But anyway, he said, this is how it started in Germany. We had to start hiding our Star of Davids. And then they continued to kill us, and this is where we are in the United States now.
Well, it's really nauseating watching this Jew hatred on the rise in America, and largely out with a lot of young people. And it also tells you a lot about the public education system, the collegiate world, as far as the stuff that they're drumming into people's heads, starting practically in the first grade, pre-K. Jews bad, and I never thought I'd see this in America. I really didn't.
It shows you, Sean, how quickly a mindset of a people can change, because the entire country felt like you did, right?
Yeah.
And I felt the same way. I still feel that way. But now it's very few in this country that would stand up and die for a Jew, and that's just the absolute truth. It wasn't that way for the longest time. But because of the propaganda in the school system, but also through the major media, that attitude has changed towards Israel and towards the Jews. But you have, of course, the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, and their big movement here in this country, and they really are communists more than they are socialists, because they want to take over the means of production, just like Mondani is talking about doing up in New York. With the landlords up there. One of their big wheels up in New York is Gustavo Gordillo. He's a transplant from Peru. Isn't it interesting that all the people that are commies, like a Mamdani and a Gustavo Gordillo, who come to the United States, they complain about the communism in their home country. That's why they leave and come to the capitalism of the United States, so they can then install communism that they fled their home country. In fact, Gordillo was on with Martha McCallum on Friday, and that's exactly what the man said.
Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist, communist guerrillas.
His family,
right.
Maoist guerrillas. They were commies.
Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru
which is communism,
in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism and American imperialism in many cases.
Now, you do understand this, right? Okay, so his family fought in Peru for communism. They were guerrillas, Maoist. And so that destroyed the economy of South America, in his own admission. The communism did.
Which communism tends to do, right.
So they come to America where there's capitalism to install the communism that they escaped.
Right.
These people are just absolutely nuts in their own heads. And so the whole talk about the landlords last week, this is communist thinking. He continues.
The problem we're facing in our housing system is that we talk about tenants and we say they have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They have to be responsible financially. But when we look at the landlords, we don't use those same standards. Landlords in New York have been making a 12% return on their investment on average.
How much should they make? What's fair for the landlord to make if you don't like 12?
They're complaining that 12 is not enough. And we don't think that anyone should have a constitutional right to double-digit returns on their investment. That's why we've implemented.
No one should have a right to a double-digit return on their investment.
No one has a right. That's not. No.
What are you talking
no
about?
one's in that. That's not in the Constitution. But what we see is that when we implement a rent freeze, we have landlords who are crying that the government is going to put them out of business.
They're trying to run a business, and they're trying to do it effectively. No, are all landlords perfect? Are some landlords lousy? Of course they are. But I just think that the idea that no one should make a double-digit profit is the antithesis of the desire to, like, you can be anything you want to be in New York.
This is who they are. This is absolutely astounding.
Well, one of the question I picked up years ago that's a great question to ask folks like this, because a lot of times what you hear is, well, people don't pay enough taxes, but you got to pay their fair share. And she kind of did the same thing, which is, well, what do you think would be a fair share? 50% on every dollar, 75% on same thing. Well, what is an acceptable profit margin for the landlords according to you? And he wouldn't answer that question. It's because it's circular logic. None of it makes sense. You said earlier in the show that they really are going from an emotive standpoint, that you're trying to hit people in the feels, and that's what a lot of this stuff about greedy landlords and people shouldn't have to be beholden to the greed of their landlord, even though it is a business transaction, as Martha pointed out.
Well, and so you got somebody. Let's just say you're going to buy one of these buildings. You want to be a landlord. You're going to have $100,000 down payment. Then you're going to have a lot of money in reserve, cash on hand, to be able to make the repairs that you need to make before anybody can move in. Then you're going to have more money in reserve, because when the AC breaks, you got to fix the AC. When the toilet won't flush, you got to fix the toilet and do all those things as a landlord, because the person who lives there doesn't make those improvements. You do as the landlord. Plus, you're taking all of the risk. So whatever profit, and most landlords are less than 10% profit margin. Whatever the profit margin, and you're taking the risk of having it burned down and all crime and all those other things, right? And then when they move out, most people destroy, a piece of property as they leave. So this guy's like, well, you shouldn't make over X amount. Well, then the government is the one to decide how much you're going to make.
Well, yeah, that's the question.
And this whole argument of it not being in the Constitution, see, this is where they change history in order to go for the stupid people, to get the stupid people to join them. The Constitution says life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And if you read our founding documents and our founding fathers' words, again, the Federalist Papers and everywhere else, when they were talking about these things and like the pursuit of happiness, they were talking about personal property, that your personal property was yours, and it was to never be interfered with by the government, ever, for any reason at all. Why? Because the king interfered with personal property all the time. He confiscated it.
Right.
He took it. He told you how much you could earn off of your business. And all of these things that established the republic of this country, they're getting rid of all of that and dragging us right back to what our forefathers fought to bring us out of.
Well, sure. I mean, this was a big argument against Obamacare, the Commerce Clause. The government cannot compel somebody to purchase something, to buy a product. The government needs to stay out of your business when it comes to what you own. You have the right to pursue something that may bring you a lot of financial gain, or it may not. But this idea that the government should be deciding how much money people earn based upon some undefined idea of what people deserve. But that's why you hear that word so much. You don't deserve to pay as much rent as you do. You don't deserve to, all this stuff. He's going to bring the hammer down on the landlords as far as freezing rents, while simultaneously upping the requirements on how they maintain their properties.
That's so they can take it from them.
Yeah.
But, okay, so where did we hear? What American president infamously used to say, at some point you made too much. You made enough at some point. Who said that?
Barack Obama.
He sure did. And that was when Americans first started to realize how much of a communist he actually was. Now, he didn't get a lot of this stuff implemented because America wasn't ready for it. But today, America is moving right into, and that's not you and me, I'm talking about young America.
Right.
Young America is moving right into the whole communist line of thinking because, I don't have to do anything, and I'm going to get a free house. And here's one final piece from this guy that Martha asked him about, what if the government were to open up a grocery store right next to your bodega?
Inspiration's great, but if you're the bodega owner, how would you feel? If the government opened a big grocery store right next to your bodega,
If
would
one
you feel?
if one publicly owned grocery store that brings prices down
Yeah.
in the neighborhood is enough to put someone out of business, then maybe they shouldn't have been in that business in the first place.
He's not an outlier, guys. This guy's not an outlier. He is a leader of their movement in the United States, and the people that ascribe to it follow what this guy is talking about.
Right.
This is where they are now. And it's not all the Democrats either. I've got more sound from other Democrats who don't like this at all. But I'm telling you, these guys are gaining more power, and more of them are this, but they're not telling you that. Tallarico is an example. He's lying to you about everything. His commercials on television right now say that he lowered property taxes. He lowered the taxes on families in the state of Texas. All of it's lie. He did directly the opposite of what his commercials say. Directly the opposite.
Yeah, well, lying is policy with these people. Don't we have like 30 candidates that would be considered DSA?
At least.
That have done very well in just the past month or so, yeah.
And some of them that are not running as the DSA, not running as a socialist right now, like a Ro Khanna, Gavin Newsom, they're so opportunistic when it comes to their political future, they'll jump ship.
Sure.
And they will become that if that's what it's going to get them to win.
They have no moral backbone. They'll do whatever they have to do. They're malleable.
That's right. Quick break, more Ware and Rima coming up. Whether your home is brand new or maybe it's decades old, our friends at Alamo Water Softeners have a complete solution for better water around your place. The all-in-one home bundle that features a premium water care water softener, reverse osmosis drinking water system, leak detection protection, and a water heater, all designed to help protect your home and improve your family's water quality. And for a limited time only, qualified homeowners can take advantage of 36 months, 0% financing. Use their money for 36 months and enjoy your Alamo Water all-in-one bundle. It's better water. It's better protection. It's one affordable monthly payment. Not all water softeners are created equal. There's a major difference. And Alamo Water Softeners created in 2009 for our hard water right here. Simply put, it is the best in dealing with our hard water in South Texas. Log on today and mention Trey Ware and get this all-in-one bundle from AlamoWaterSofteners.com. Sunny and a high of 96 today, 75 right now, KTSA. 721, Ware and Rima, KTSA.
A couple of smaller stories. We have a legal battle going on in Quincy, Massachusetts. It may end, well, I think it's already ended up in the state Supreme Court. It may end up at the big Supreme Court about a couple of statues that they want to put outside of a public safety building. One would be of St. Michael. And the both statues are there to support first responders. So St. Michael is there to represent police officers, law enforcement. Then they have St. Florian, who is largely considered to be patron saint of firefighters, early firefighter. And folks are upset. About a dozen or so residents have written a letter, and they're upset because they say this crosses the line as far as a state-sponsored religion, and you can't have these statues on municipal ground and blah, blah, blah. So, again, it's obviously not a majority of people who are, concerned that they may have to cast their eyes on these statues. But, again, what's happened with the whole separation of church and state in this country is that the appearance of a state-sponsored religion has been conflated. So now it's all about the appearance, and really that has nothing to do with it, at least as far as my reading of it. I think you and I agree that it's about the government cannot compel you to attend a church, and if you don't attend that church, something bad legally happens to you. That does not happen in this country. It's still not happening if you have to cast your gaze in Quincy, Massachusetts, of a statue of one of the saints, again, meant to show support for our law enforcement. Nothing. You don't suffer any kind of injury. You're not compelled to do any damn thing at all. And yet, we were talking about anti-Semitism and all the Jew hatred in this country, which is arguably a mass movement set upon, that it has as its target a religious tradition. Mayor Mandami wants to arrest the leader of another country because he's a Jew, essentially. So the people who are concerned about statues are completely unconcerned about that stuff. They're completely unconcerned about the targeting of Jews and Christians in this country, sometimes by government types. But they do want to fight, tooth and nail to make sure you don't cast your gaze accidentally on a St. Michael statue. It's a little silly, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Just a little silly.
Sure. What they want to do, and the reason they're going after people like Benjamin Netanyahu is they want to get rid of all religion because that's what communists have to do.
Well, sure.
Marx is very clear about that. But no, when it comes to establishment of a religion, an official state religion, that's what the First Amendment is about. It's not about displays in the public course. You can put up all the displays you want. You're not establishing a religion. It sounds like we're doing a course on the American Revolution right now, but what they fought against was a state religion that was formed by the king. You weren't even really compelled to have to attend, but you were compelled to have to pay. You had to pay a very high tax to support that state religion, and our founders said no. We want to be able to practice whatever religion we're gonna practice, and not all of them were Christian. The vast majority of them were Bible thumping, faith believing Puritan religionists, but not all of them were. What they didn't want to have to do was to have to pay with their own pursuit of happiness and their own goods, services, or whatever, to support a state religion. Well, putting up a nativity scene or one of these statues has nothing to do with establishing a religion and having to pay into that fund.
If you happen to walk by a nativity scene in December on state or municipal property, okay, you're not being compelled to be a Christian. You're not being institutionalized as far as what religion you need to support or whatever. In other words, you're not suffering an injury of any kind whatsoever.
And it's not that they see it and it upsets them because they see it. It's because it is there in the public square, and it points to God, and commies cannot have that.
Yeah, I get that. They got to get rid of religion. But the idea, like you see this every December, like, oh, my God, I had to walk past a couple of nativity scenes. Something is happening to me. I'm less than. I'm being injured, and that's a bunch of crap. If you're so frail of spirit or whatever the hell it is that you believe, that merely walking by a religious icon from some other faith does something to you, okay, you need a mental health professional.
I was going to say, you need to be laying on a couch somewhere.
Probably. Yeah. The other story, just a quick story, and I'm not bringing this up because it's very interesting, because we do take notice of this every year. Instacart says that, once again, America's favorite ice cream is vanilla. Now, obviously, I think people buy vanilla because you can do crap to vanilla.
Exactly right.
But I bring it up because in my mind, I saw this story, and I'm like, oh, I just did that story. And then I realized I did that story a year ago.
Uh-huh.
It's been a year. I don't know if I remember talking about this on the air. That was a quick damn year.
Every third Sunday in July is National Ice Cream Day, and that was yesterday. And so, yeah, we do it every year. We talk about National Ice Cream Day. What's your favorite? The radio bit. What's your favorite ice cream?
Well, yeah.
Well, vanilla for the very reason you mentioned. You can crumble up Oreos and put in there. Put some chocolate sauce on top. Whatever you want to do to it.
I'm more just shocked and weirded out by the fact that I just let a year slip by that quickly.
Yeah.
It's just, that was just yesterday. No, that was a year ago.
That was a
man.
year ago.
Time speeds up on us.
Did you have ice cream for it yesterday?
I have ice cream every night. When it's the weekend, Sean eats the ice cream. Not during the week, but weekends I eat a lot of ice cream.
What did you have yesterday?
Saturday night I had some ice cream. What kind did I have? Peanut butter cup ice cream with some whipped cream and some caramel.
I had a Klondike bar yesterday.
Well, I'd do anything for a Klondike bar.
Yeah, buddy.
What would you do for a Klondike bar, Trey?
I can't tell you. It's not legal.
Right.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
News Talk 5.
Sports, Ware and Rima, KTSA. Everybody wants to rule the world. Yeah. When I was watching Jennifer Hudson yesterday singing the national anthem to the opening, she was wonderful. It was outstanding. They showed the president. He got a big cheer. It really was a touching moment. It reminded me of 2008. President Trump was not president, obviously. He was just Donald Trump, a real estate mogul. And Jennifer Hudson's family, mother, brother, and nephew, were brutally murdered in October of 2008. President Trump sent his security team to get her and the other members of the family and brought her to Trump Hotel and Tower in New York and gave her free accommodations and extra security from his own team until they figured out how to make them safe where they could be. And she stayed there for a long time, rent-free. He covered all the accommodations, covered their meals, and he covered, of course, the security team that he appointed to look after her remaining family, meaning herself and other family members. So if he's a racist and a misogynist, he's really, as we always say, he sucks at it, right?
He's pretty lousy at it. Yeah, he's not very good at it.
Because she's a black female, and if he's taking care of a black female like that, he can't be a racist misogynist, can he?
Well, you've heard stories about this kind of thing with him throughout the length of his adult life, where he's helping people out. Again, it doesn't matter black, white, rich, poor, doesn't matter. He helps folks out, and largely he does it without seeking any attention for it. I mean, you kind of find out about a lot of this stuff secondhand because he's not out there talking about it.
You have to dig to get to that story,
right?
And that was 2008,
right?
You have to dig around to try to find it. But anyway, I just wanted to give a quick hit on that because that was just something that crossed my mind while we were watching her sing the national anthem yesterday. It was very beautiful. It was up there with the Whitney Houston Super Bowl deal. This was that good. She really did a wonderful. Jennifer Hudson's wonderful talent. She's incredible.
Right. Oh, I agree. Yeah. I kind of zoned out on the rest of it.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I'm one of those ugly Americans that just doesn't get soccer, man.
No, I got you. No, me too. I don't care about the game at all, but the stuff around it was very
sure.
Cool. Keeping the focus on the growing threat of communism here in this country, in New York City, man was asked, in fact, a guy who is heading up the whole socialism movement there in this particular borough, why? What is your elevator speech about, the whole communism or socialism thing? Why is it important?
Community. Are you tired of sitting alone and being by yourself and having no one to talk to? Being a socialist is all about community. It's about literally sitting down and having coffee with a random stranger and talking to them, talking about the game. Hell, I have hugged more strangers in this past summer because of the Knicks game, because of the World Cup, because socialism works. It's the watch parties that Zoran hosted. It's about the parties that we allow. We don't have cops hogging every single site and saying, oh, you can't be here because there's too many people. Instead of allowing people just being in their nature, a natural element of talking to each other, to bond over things we love and share.
So that's what socialism and communism is. It's about bonding and hanging out with people.
It brings people together,
That's
Trey.
what
that's why
it is.
It's called socialism.
Exactly. And that's what they're telling young people, and young people are falling for it. But not all Democrats are falling for it. Bill Maher spent a lot of time with Jonathan Karl on a long interview for ABC's This Week. And he says, if this becomes the thing, just like we were talking about with John Fetterman last week, I'm out. I'm going to bail.
You told J.D. Vance you're open, your vote is up for grabs.
Yes, my vote is in play because it can't be Trump running.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
100%. He realizes what's happening here to his party. And when they talk about no prisons and no police, which is their big push right now, a lot of the older Democrats have a problem with that.
And it's not just a few people anymore. Every day I read about a new person in some Colorado and Wisconsin, somebody who is saying some variation of not defund the police, abolish the police. No prisons, no police. Like, what world do they think we could possibly live in under these conditions? It's just a level of nutty that I'm so glad that whenever it was, I was like, no, I'm not going along because this is where it ends.
This is where it ends, and he was asked directly by Jonathan Karl, could you see yourself voting for J.D. Vance?
Could you see yourself voting for J.D. Vance?
Yes. If this is the Democratic side, yes.
And then finally, what's the difference between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to your show? And I like this answer, and he's right.
That's what I love about those Republicans. The first thing I said to him was, it's so odd, isn't it, that like I didn't vote for you, and yet you guys come to the show and take your beating like a man. The Democrats don't come, and yet they got my vote. It's just odd, isn't it?
So he's not suddenly going to, like Fetterman, he's not suddenly going to become a Republican and vote all Republican and MAGA, and here I am. But he's reevaluating his position. And so the Democrats have a giant rift that is going on in the Democrat Party. The Republicans went through this, and again, that was brought on by the presidency of Barack Hussein, that the rhinos, the never-Trumpers as we now call them, they, of course, didn't want to see this new crowd called the MAGA, and before it was MAGA, it was Tea Party, come in. But the Tea Party and the right that I belong to, that I consider myself a part of, I go back to, and I'm not in the Republican Party, I'm talking about patriots, I go back to Barack Obama. And that really awakened me to being a solidified, I got off the George Bush train and the McCain train and all the rest of them. I became a more solidified patriot, somebody who cares about the founding principles of this country. Well, Donald Trump, in a strange way, has done that to Democrats. These far left nut job commies were created because Donald Trump rose to such prominence. They saw that and they went, "Oh, we got to go crazier than what the Bill Maher's and the John Fettermans are." Bill Maher and John Fetterman, and even James Carville to a certain degree, are not far enough to the left.
Well, and I think Maher even called Democrats cowardly because they're not really standing up against this growing communism within the party. And he's right on all points, and I don't even think Bill Maher's an intellectual heavyweight. But, if you're looking at the seizure of public property, you're looking at government, you think the FCC's bad. Wait till the government can control what a guy like Bill Maher says on the air, says on his show, and that's a cable show. He knows how bad this stuff is. He's not an idiot. But there's just so few voices like that. That's what's kind of surprising to me, in that you're not seeing really a groundswell inside the Democratic Party saying, hey, this is communism. We don't want this. That's why we pay attention to guys like Fetterman and Bill Maher, because they're so rare. The rest of them, you said it a little while ago, like Tallarica, the rest of them are going to hop on that commie train if that's the train that's leaving the station. And they won't think twice about it. And it's scary stuff, because that's another thing that I never really thought I'd see happen in this country, along with the anti-Semitism. I never thought I'd see such an embrace of pure fascism, communism, whatever you want to call it. It sure as hell ain't socialism, and there's nothing good about socialism, but it sounds a little nicer. We were doing that story where people, socialism means people are being more social and they're hanging out with you. It brings people together. Okay, well, that's the intellectual thinking of a dumbass, and there's, I guess, a lot of dumbasses out there that think this sounds great. But by the time they realize how awful it is, it'll be far too late. They'll be eaten out of the same dumpster as everybody else.
Well, and that's the problem with this midterms. As we talked about in the first hour, I'm going to get into it a little bit later in the show again, but there are two things that are very threatening about this. Number one is the third impeachment of President Trump, the possible removing of him. But I don't really see that being a big factor, because it takes a lot of the Senate, the vast majority of the Senate, to be able to remove a sitting president. I don't know if even they would be able to pull that off if they won the Senate. But still, he would be neutered. That would be the first thing. Second thing is, as this communist thing continues to get stronger, and if they win in the midterms, if you see this guy from Michigan, who we're going to hear from here after a while, if you see him win, and you see these others, this girl in New York and the ones out in Colorado win, then somebody like a Gavin Newsom, who is nothing but a political opportunist, and I've said that about Tallarico and the rest of them, they will suddenly become the communists of America, and that movement is going to continue to strengthen. That's a thing that is a cancer that has to be cut out by the root. And our references to Iran there, the communism has to as well, because otherwise it continues to fester and grow until the next thing you know, they have a controlling interest in the party.
Well, yeah, and then we're in real trouble, you know. So it's a very dicey time right now. And again, we're seeing things take root, as you say, in this country that I never thought we'd see happen in America. And yet here we are, and not that many generations away from the Cold War, from World War II. Memory is short these days. You know, again, we talk about the attention span all the time. You got a whole generation of people that really weren't given a fundamental education in history, so they don't really understand the historical examples of how awful this is. It just sounds great. Wow, I don't have to pay rent. I got free Medicare, health care, I'll be taken care of. And again, by the time they realize how much they've lost, it'll be far too late. It'll already be over.
And again, the danger is here in the midterms specifically is with the Republicans, the never-Trump Republicans who want to, hurt President Trump. With them getting rid of the Save America Act, which is exactly what they're attempting to do, and they're being very successful at it. This thing should have passed months ago. They're being very successful at getting rid of this. If that happens, there will be a lot of Republicans who will not vote in the midterms. They're just going to stay home. And if that happens, then the Democrats come to power, Trump is impeached, and this communist movement gets even stronger. And the Republicans, the Republicans in the Senate are doing it to us.
Oh, I agree, and all of them, they also depend on low voter turnout. And you're right. If a lot of people think it's a done deal and it's rigged, and what's the point of me going in there? That's the very factor that allows these people to become so powerful.
It'll happen
by people not going and voting.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my friends over at Apple Pest Control. If you got bugs around your place, if it bugs you, then it certainly bugs Stan and his team at Apple Pest Control. I know that personally. First company that we called when we bought our home that we're in right now, we've been in that home for now almost 24 years, was Apple Pest Control. And we had to get them out there and get them working to get rid of some scorpions that we had going on. It was a new construction, and so there's a lot of scorpion movement, stuff like that. And since that's time, they come out every few months. There's no contract, so I really like that because they have to earn your business with every trip, and that's the way Stan operates anyway. That's why he's been around so long, 1984. So, he's been around for coming up on 44 years almost, that he's been giving the best in services for people in pest control here. And I got to tell you, when it comes to somebody that you can trust to do the job right, there's nobody like Apple Pest Control. They take their time to do it the right way every time so you don't have a pest problem at all. And those pests might not just be only bugs and spiders and snakes and stuff like that. You may have a problem with rodents too. Well, that's all right. Don't you worry. Apple can get rid of rodents just like nothing. So no hidden charges, no contracts, only the best in service. $25 off your initial service when you mention Trey Ware at Apple Pest Control. Call 210-695-8946. Sunny at a high of 96 today. It's 75 right now, KTSA.
casting, but it brought in $264.1 million.
It was huge.
It's his second best weekend opening, next to The Dark Knight Rises, the third movie in the Batman stuff. Beat out Toy Story 5 and Super Mario Galaxy, whatever the hell that is. Or actually, it came in behind Toy Story 5 and Super Mario, whatever the hell that is. But, for a movie everybody was complaining about, it's done very well. And I know a few people that have seen it whose opinions I trust, and that, they're all saying it's a really good movie. I still have no desire to see it, but doing a lot better than what people were saying. So good on him.
Kilmeade said this morning it's epic.
That's what. Oh, really? He liked it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he said
wow.
it's epic. It's unbelievable, he said.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm not a huge Matt Damon fan either. It kind of depends on what he's in, but he's a very good actor. I will give him that.
I only know one person who got tickets in advance for that. Everyone else is on hold.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was the hardest ticket to get.
Yeah.
Wow. But again, it's doing quite well. And, you say this all the time. Sometimes, you throw out controversy there to get eyes on something that normally people wouldn't give a crap about. And I think a lot of the controversy now, sometimes in another kind of movie like Supergirl, the controversy that precedes it kind of kills the opening weekend. But with Odyssey, I think a lot of that helped, in that you have a lot of controversy swirling around the casting, so people want to see it to see how they react to it. They want to see what the controversy is all about. Apparently, it's winning for Chris Nolan.
Well, and it was, again, something that was over the top. And Kilmeade, again, said this morning, if you make a decent movie, people will come back to the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Which they're not doing now. But people will show up again and start turning out for decent movies.
For good movies,
For good movies. They just haven't been doing it.
No, and, the fact is, when you get too preachy and things go woke, you're letting your politics supersede the idea of plot and character and what really works about the movie. It's like I used to say this about Christian movies. Christian movies, movies of faith have gotten a lot better over the past 10 years or so, because that used to be the problem with a lot of Christian movies, is that the message kind of overran the artistic choices. And so maybe it is a really good movie. A lot of people are saying it is. I'm still not going to go see it, Trey.
Neither am I.
I want to see Spider-Man, but I'm not interested in seeing the Odyssey with the tranny Achilles. That's a little silly.
The second child has been born. Alec Neal is the fourth child, the boy for J.D. and Usha Vance. It's been over 150 years since a baby was born to a sitting vice president. More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
For a lot.
Well, over the weekend, we lost more military members. Apparently 4 at this point. Apparently 4. First Lieutenant Tyler James Freehon, 25, of Iwa Beach, Hawaii, and Private Isabel Gonzalez, 19, of Carrollton, Texas. They were both killed in Jordan. There was a third that was missing, and they found remains. They did not said that those were the remains of that soldier, but they are there in Jordan as defense mechanism primarily. And they were hit by both ballistic missiles and by these attack drones, these what's called suicide drones, because they don't return. And apparently Iran has a ton of those drones, and they fire them off all the time. They're like mini airplanes, and they carry an extreme amount of ordnance. In fact, we had another service member who was killed in northern Iraq who was trying to detonate one of those because it had crashed and it had not detonated. And there was one with him that was injured, but not seriously or with life-threatening injuries. In the Jordanian situation, there were 4 others that were helicoptered out, medevaced out, and so we don't know their conditions yet. We will, again, find the condition of the third in the Jordanian situation and the name of the one who was killed in Iraq. Typically what the military will do is they'll notify next of kin as soon as they possibly can, like immediately if they can, and then they give the family 24 hours to notify everybody else in the family. So you don't hear anything until 24 hours after they have made notification of next of kin. Usually, that's how they like to have it play out. In either case, Iran obviously is not going away. As I said earlier this morning, they're not going down without a fight, and they are going to continue to fight because they have to. Their scripture tells them to, because of their Mahdi, their person that they say comes in and takes over and rules the world from a throne there in Tehran. And so they're going to continue doing what they're doing until they are utterly and completely destroyed. And now they're amping it up because in trying to force the United States out of the Middle East, which has always been their goal, if the United States leaves the Middle East, then they can destroy Israel, unless they get a nuclear bomb, and then they can destroy Israel. So now they're attacking their neighbors' civilian infrastructure, not just our military bases, which is where they had started. They were attacking our military bases in places like Qatar and Kuwait, places like that. But now they've gone to going after the civilian infrastructure. They turned off the lights in Kuwait over the weekend. And also they went after a number of water plants in Kuwait. And 90% of the water in the Middle East comes from desalination, and they're starting to blow up these desalination plants. So, Iran has taken a different tack. They're now going after civilians. They haven't really worried about killing civilians. They've killed a lot of Israelis over the years, and they continue to do so.
They've killed a lot of their own civilians.
Well, that too, absolutely. And so we did get confirmation from the intel community over the weekend. Apparently, again, you never know what to believe or not believe, but the intel community is saying their homosexual leader who took over when his dad was blasted is out of the country. We don't know that for sure because, he's supposedly written some tweets, but anybody could write a tweet in somebody else's name and put it out there, so you don't really know, what the story is unless you see these people talking with a current newspaper in their hand on video. And I say the same thing about Mitch McConnell. That picture stupidity of week before last is no more proof of Mitch McConnell being alive than anything else is. But the same is true with this guy. Who knows if he's alive or not? Fact of the matter is, somebody in Iran is directing this return, and the president has said over and over again, these guys are impotent, they can't attack us. Well, they're killing Americans. And they have been able to successfully do that in the 5 months that this thing has been going on. Again, 47 years, this is the game that they have played, and it's time for this American president to end it once and for all.
Well, yeah, and he's got to do it, and maybe do it soon. Because, I keep hearing about how we're hammering them every single night, 9 nights in a row, and yet they still are able to attack us and take out our service people. That doesn't sound like a military force that's been decimated. So what are we hitting every single night? And, I guess people come up with time references and, it's only been a few months. Well, it's this, it's that. Well, that having been said, we're being told that they are decimated. Their military is non-existent, and yet they continue to attack. I feel like we're hitting some bridges and roads now, but we're still fighting with the soft gloves on, obviously, if they're still able to involve themselves in any kind of mission. And you're right, they're religious nuts, so you're never going to get to a negotiating table with them. They'll fight to the bitter end because there's a reward for them waiting for them in heaven if they die in the great cause. You can't negotiate with that. You can't even leverage that. You can't really do much about anybody who is willing to die and has no concern for their own life at the end of the day. What are you going to leverage them with? So you're going to have to finish it at some point. I think the question is whether or not he wants to do it before or after the midterms, or if he's worried about maybe he won't be able to after the midterms. I don't know. But, I keep hearing how we're hammering them, but yet they're still engaged in operations, so we're not hammering them that much.
Well, that's exactly what I said this morning when we started, was that obviously we have not taken out their Navy. We have not taken out, which we've said, President Trump has said that their Navy's at the bottom of the sea. They're still operating in the Strait of Hormuz. They're still attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz. We haven't taken out their infrastructure to their military, which we say we have, but we haven't, obviously, because they're still launching both ballistic missiles and drones. And if you're launching those, you still have military infrastructure somewhere
well,
to be able to do that.
Have to, yeah.
Here's what I'm befuddled about, and I don't know the answer to it. And, of course, we're not privy to all the information. We're just guys sitting in San Antonio, Texas, looking at this and wondering things. And I'm just wondering what the goal is that President Trump has in his mind about this. What is restraining him from utterly destroying this regime and bringing about them coming to us and saying, okay, we're done? Because obviously if we are that strong, and we're told that we are, if that's the case, then we should be able to have done this, we're 5 months into this. 5 months and 47 years. And that's the issue. Over and over again, I've been saying that this is how they play American presidents. And for some reason, American presidents get in their head, we have to let this regime continue on. No, we don't. No, we don't.
I don't know. It's mystifying. I have no idea what's holding him back. I don't know.
I mean, he's got some other goal in his mind.
He must have some other thing that he wants. I mean, I don't get it. Because, again, now American service people, we've lost 16 people altogether since we went in February. And I don't know what the plan is, but I sure as hell know that you're never going to get to a negotiating position with these people.
Well, they can't.
I mean, again, you have to deal with you have to deal honestly with who your enemy actually is. And if your enemy is actually not somebody who is concerned about dying, well, then how do you go out? You just basically have to wipe them off the face of the earth and give them what they want.
The people who run the government believe that they were established 47 years ago to destroy Israel.
Sure.
And with the destruction of Israel, their Mahdi or their Messiah arrives. And so you're not going to get rid of them, because that's why they believe that God, Allah, put them here for that express purpose. So you can't talk to these people. Like I've said over and over again, every president since Jimmy Carter has tried, and they'll talk with you and act like they're doing something, but they're not. They're not doing what they say that they're doing, and it's pretty clear, or should be clear to anybody. I'm a little mystified as to what's going on with President Trump, in that this is something that he could have done, we're told, because we have this supreme power over the entire world, and I don't understand why he's not exercising it, why he's not finishing this thing, so that we can get on. And the sooner he finishes it, you talk about the midterms, the sooner he finishes it, the better as far as the midterms are concerned.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing this in the midterms.
No, you got to be about it, though, if that's the case. But again, we don't know. We don't have all the information. We don't know what the president's thinking. I hope there's some kind of overall plan. I hope there's some idea that once you get to this point, then it's, all bets are off and we're going to do what we have to do. But it seems like we would have been there already. I think it seems like we've already reached that point. But again, I don't know. I still have faith that he knows what he's doing, but it's getting a little harder to keep hearing over and over again about how their military is decimated when we have dead service people now.
That part's not true. You know what I'm saying? It's just not true, because they are still launching And as long as you're
So is
launching,
the president lying?
yeah.
Then?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he's getting bad information. I don't know, but certainly, obviously, that's not true.
Right.
And so, if they're launching missiles and they're launching drones at our people and they are effective, now that's the other thing. I mean, they're taking out now critical infrastructure in other Gulf states. If they have those capabilities, then obviously they have not been decimated. That's just a logical fact.
Right.
That's a provable fact. And so if that's the case, then what is the ultimate goal and plan here that the president is working toward? And, you're not getting me off the Trump train. I'm just questioning why we are where we are 5 months into this thing when it could have been dealt with quite some time ago. I hope he's not falling into the trap that all the other presidents have fallen into.
It's because we're trying to be cool with the 90 million people that live in that country and not really hose them. That's why it's not done. Because the only thing that's finish, take out their power plants, and then they have no electricity. Take out the water. Then you know what to do, and that's the only reason we haven't done it. Is because then we look like real.
You might be right, but I'm more. You might be right, but I'm more of a. You can take out the leadership who is, running these missions and controlling that country. And if you do that, then, yeah, Christian, go ahead.
I just want to point out, I lean towards what Jimmy's saying as I hear you guys talking about this. And everything I keep hearing is that there is, and I can't confirm it, there is no supreme leader. Many think he's not even alive. So that leaves a lot of different factions in Iran's mosaic control structure that went into place after we attacked. So the question is, who is in charge?
Well, I think that presidents brought that up too. That you got this set of guys, and we wipe them out. Then you got another set of guys, and other sets of guys are calling the military strikes in. So who knows? It may be as stupid as you just don't know who the hell you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hear what you guys are saying, but what you understand the implication of that is the president's okay losing U.S. military people to protect Iranians.
Well, apparently.
I mean, that's what it sounds like you're saying. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but.
Well, I'm not the one launching the attacks, but that appears to be the case. I mean, yeah, they could go scorched earth and vaporize Iran if they wanted to. Well, how's that going to look?
Again, I don't think you have to. I think that you can use these strikes effectively against their leadership and actually terminate all this stuff that's going on. But if you're trying to protect the 90 million, as Jimmy said, and that might be the thing, you're losing people on your side while you're trying to protect the 90 million. I don't know. That's too smart. I don't know.
What I'm saying is what if they're, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, what if they don't know exactly who is in charge? If
well,
you
have
a lot of people in charge.
I mentioned that a week and a half ago, Christian, is that
I don't know how you just go in and surgically cut out. I don't know that there's a
well. Here's what I said over a week ago: is that the president is going after the military infrastructure and the military heads because they cut a deal with the diplomatic corps.
Right. Yes.
And then once they cut that deal, the military strikes. Okay, so they have two different factions going on. So he's trying to render the military side impotent so he can negotiate a deal. But you're not going to negotiate a deal with these people. They are very clear. They are not interested in a deal with the United States or Israel, bar none.
But which people, though?
I'm talking any of them. You're not going to get a deal with the people that are in charge of this country. They've made that abundantly clear. There's nobody, a sympathetic force in there that's going to say, okay, we're good with you and we'll put our arms down.
I think there's too many chefs in the Iranian kitchen, and that's what they're contending with.
Well, I mean, who knows? Again, I mentioned the president himself has brought up that we never really quite know who we're dealing with and if who we're dealing with are the right people to deal with.
Well, then you're in a worse position than you thought you were.
I agree.
They might be.
We might be in a worse position than we thought we were. All right, more Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA, sunny and a high of 96 today, 77 right now, KTSA. Rima, KTSA.
Well, today is double shot day. I got a couple of stories every break. So I got a couple of stories this break. Hunter Biden says his dad's biggest mistake was Merrick Garland, appointing Merrick Garland as the Attorney General because he didn't go after the January 6th Capitol rioters who were, they were assaulting police officers left and right. They were engaged in violence, and my dad didn't do anything about it. He says the buck stopped. He was on some damn podcast. The buck stops with his dad, and then he made that poor choice. And that's why, we got all these rioters and insurrectionists who didn't face justice because Merrick Garland was his dad's worst mistake. Nobody cared. I know I'm bringing it up, and I know that I'm giving him attention that he probably doesn't deserve. Let me just put the disclaimer out there. I know I'm giving the man exactly what he wants by talking about him on the radio. But nobody actually cares what Hunter Biden says about anything. Nobody really does. But yet, he does show up on major podcasts. He gets a lot of news coverage. And yet the guy is a complete – there's just nothing upstairs, man. No intellectual depth whatsoever with that guy.
Well, and he's wrong about Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland went in after President Trump like nobody.
He did.
And he coordinated with those in the field like Bragg up in New York, Letitia James in New York, and down the South, Big Fannie Willis and her boyfriend. He coordinated with them to go after Donald Trump. He coordinated with Jack Smith, who we found out last week Jack Smith was listening to everybody's phone calls and reading everybody's text messages and emails illegally, unconstitutionally, and neither Merrick Garland or Jack Smith are sitting in jail right now where they belong.
He also went after ordinary citizens who were, showing up at these school board meetings. He worked with the Teachers School Board Association to write a letter allegedly to himself, basically, about the terrorist threat that these people posed. I mean, he was a horrible choice, but not for the reasons that Hunter Biden's listing off.
He sent the gendarmes, the jackbooted thugs, to parents' houses where their kids were for praying outside of an abortion clinic on the sidewalk, not bothering anybody, but in with long guns and their whole military gear. Did the same thing to President Trump's house. And never forget, he tried to destroy a self-made millionaire, possibly billionaire, by going after the Pillow Man and stealing his cell phone in a Hardee's drive-thru.
So, in a sense, I agree with Hunter Biden, but not for the reasons that he's putting out there as far as why this was Biden's worst choice or whomever actually made that choice.
Yeah.
We have to put that caveat in there, too. The other story, I did a video about this over the weekend, and I didn't really realize, we spent the second half of last week really talking about the flooding, and we had Bill Taylor on for an hour. Was it Thursday, I guess? Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember which specific day. Was it Wednesday?
Wednesday morning.
And, he busted into a prayer while we're on the air, and you and he both do this, where you'll pray, when you feel there's a need. And I didn't realize till this weekend that the videos of Bill Taylor praying during his forecast on Ken's 5, because he did it a few times. He did it once for the flood folks. He did it another time for somebody who was stuck in a car that got swept away. Those videos have gone viral. If you search Bill Taylor, they're all over the place. And I was kind of thinking about over the weekend that, you and I know him. We all know him. And so Bill Taylor breaking into a prayer is just a very natural thing for him to do. I've seen him preach a couple times, and the guy's brilliant.
Jack asked him that day, and he said he started doing this about 3 or 4 years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. You and I know that he does this all the time.
Praying on camera.
They're praying on camera, but people are just becoming aware of it. And the videos have gone viral. I mean, they're all over the place, specifically from the flood. And when you think about it, it is an extraordinary. I'm not denying that he hasn't been doing it for a number of years, but as something that people have just become aware of, and suddenly in the wake of the floods, it's become a big deal. People don't do that. I think that's a really amazing thing to embrace people who pray openly like that, whether it's during a weather forecast or some other on-air moment. But good on him. I think that's great.
He's an extraordinary man. That's one of the reasons I had him pray during our July 2nd show here, too. Because he's just that's the real Bill Taylor. He's had an incredible evolution in his life as time has gone on. And I've known him since he's been in San Antonio, and he's just been a truly, truly good-hearted man. But he's gotten better as time goes on. And his next step after he decides he's done talking about the weather on TV is going to be into a full-time pastorate. I have no doubt about that.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. I just think it's really cool how people are passing the videos around, man. It's amazing.
He's kind of itinerant right now in that he continues with his job, which is very biblical, by the way. The early apostles, that's what they did. They had full-time jobs. Paul was a tent maker. And so they had full-time jobs, and they preached on the side. That's what he's doing right now. But I can see him moving into a full-time pastorate when he's done. That's just who he is.
But I just think the videos going all over the place are cool, man.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's who he is, man. He's wonderful. Let me tell you about my friends over at Quarter Moon Plumbing, Heat, and AC. They're all about taking care of your home whenever you need them. They're going to be here for you. One phone call away at 210-651-5899, 210-651-5899. That's how you get in touch with our friends over at Quarter Moon, man, and they do it all. When it comes to your AC, if you have one little problem with your AC, don't you worry about it. I know it can be stressful, and I know it's the last thing in the world you want to have to deal with on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or any day of the week. But Quarter Moon is there, and they have a rapid response team to come out and deal with it right away as well. So 43 years in business and more, I mean, these folks know exactly what to do, and they truly are good guys. I started calling them out a long time ago, and just call Quarter Moon because that just alleviates all the stress. When you call them, you can just relax knowing the best in the business is going to come out and take care of your AC or your plumbing. You know, you got something not working right with your plumbing, that's okay. You don't worry about it. You call Quarter Moon. They'll get a truck out there. It's fully stocked. A plumber. They got master plumbers on staff that knows exactly what they're talking about. They're very clean up. They clean up after themselves. And the job is first rate every single time that Quarter Moon comes to your place, whether it's your home or your business, because they do a lot of commercial work as well. At Quarter Moon, Heat and AC, Plumbing too, 210-651-5899.
News Talk 550 KTSA and the
feel already. It's only 8:35, so we are Ware and Rima. Mamdani wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu. He's going to come in here in September for a UN meeting. Mamdani wants him under arrest. Of course, he's playing to his base, who is a bunch of Hitler-loving anti-Semites who want to kill Jews and, hate Jews and all those kind of things. And so he wants to arrest him here playing to that base. But he's also a communist, and he's running the faction of communism in our country that's taken over. One of those is this Abdul El Sayed up in Michigan. And he's up there talking about how we need to switch over to communism. They call it socialism, it's communism, but we need to switch over to this because you've got these really powerful, rich people that are running everybody's lives, and they're just making way too much money. It's kind of like the guy from New York that I played earlier that said, these landlords that are making 12% returns, that's just way too much money. Well, last year, Mr. Saeed made $700,000 in baseline salary. He was standing next to Bernie Sanders, who is a multi-millionaire who has 7 homes. And to his other side was AOC, who went from a bartender making $19,000 a year to now being in Congress for a few short years making multi-millions of dollars somehow. So, yeah, that's the communist way. You have those people way up there, and then everybody else is way down here. There's nothing in the middle. So the middle class goes away, and that's exactly their plan for the United States. His plan for the United States also includes defunding the police, getting rid of the police, not just defunding, but abolishing the police, abolishing prisons, abolishing the border, and, of course, getting rid of ICE. And here he is attacking ICE at a speech yesterday.
ICE has nothing to do with immigration. ICE has nothing to do with the southern border. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets.
Now, I want you to listen to the crowd, okay? He's saying one thing, but listen to the reaction of the crowd.
ICE is about weaponizing the idea of immigration against the Constitution itself. ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished.
Tell me that that's not a growing threat in the United States of America that is a very large and very enthusiastic crowd. Hitler did it to the Germans, and these people are doing it to Americans every day. Sometimes they got to whoop out a fake voice to do it.
Oh, AOC was swapping out her accent, too. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, here she is at that very same rally. She goes from being Hispanic.
A playbook that says in order to win, we need to show deference to Trump by thanking his same ICE agency that has shot Renee Good, Alex Preddy, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, and Johan Sebastian Duran Guerrero.
No. In case you didn't hear it, do it again.
Araujo and Johan Sebastian Duran Guerrero.
Now, what she left out of that little speech there, she's talking about ICE agents killing all these, various people. She didn't mention Laken Riley or Rachel Morin or Jocelyn Nungaray.
Of course not.
Or any of the others. So she went from there talking in Spanish, got the Roland R's, and then she went to Tennessee.
We cannot afford to leave Tennessee behind. We cannot afford to leave Kentucky behind, Alabama behind, Mississippi behind, Georgia behind.
Oh, God.
South Carolina behind.
We can't afford to leave you behind. So here's the point. I've been talking about it all morning. We've been talking about this a long time. These people, when you see that these commies are going to win, and they start winning and winning and winning and winning, racking up wins. This is the midterms. When they rack up wins in the midterms, there's going to be opportunes like her and the others are going to jump on and become communists too, and they're going to vote for the Communist Manifesto to replace the United States Constitution. That's not only the plan, it's happening.
Well, let me go back to what you started off with, okay, this idea that they're going to abolish ICE, and Bill Maher was talking about they're going to abolish the cops and prisons. Okay, don't think for a second that that's all magically going to go away. They're going to have plenty of cops. They're going to have plenty of prisons, but the prisons will be for people who disagree with them. The prisons will be for people who are dissenters, okay, and have unpleasant opinions. They'll have plenty of prisons for those people. And as you pointed out last week, don't think that open borders thing is going to travel along with the communist revolution of America, because once they control the whole damn circus, they'll have plenty of walls around that border, as you pointed out, to keep people in. Listening to the fervor that people are cheering for them, though, tells me there's a lot of stupid people in the country, and there may be just enough stupid people for this revolution to be successful. And again, those very same morons that are cheering an idiot like that, and the changing of the accent thing, the fact that doesn't S-can their political careers in and of itself is amazing to me, because they all do it. Hillary did it. Al Gore used to do it, swapping out the accent depending on who you're talking to. The fact that any given dumbass accepts that and doesn't take that as a sign that this person that's talking to me is obviously full of crap is laughable.
You know who never changes? Donald Trump.
Donald Trump
wears a blue suit and a red tie. His hair's always coiffed the same way, and he always says the same thing the same way every single time. He never, ever changes. These people are political opportunists, and that's why I keep warning about this. Now, let me talk just a little bit about that crowd, okay? It doesn't matter the size of the crowd when it comes to elections, and particularly the midterms. Everybody, please, if you are a patriot and you love this country, please listen to me. What matters is the enthusiasm. These people who are running this communist revolution in America, and that's what it is, Sean. We're not shooting yet, but it is a communist revolution that's happening in this country. The people who are running it are extremely excited, and they have a huge enthusiasm rating, which means what you just heard there is just the way they all feel about it. They're enthusiastic to get to the polls as soon as they possibly can and vote for these communists. That's the difference. On the other side, and I've been doing this all morning trying to make a point here, on the other side, when you have Republicans killing the most popular piece of legislation in our lifetimes, the Save America Act, that's going to, by virtue of its very nature of it, cause a lot of Republicans to want to stay home because they don't believe it's fair. They believe the system is rigged. So I'm not even going to show up. The other side, if they turn out 3% of people who are that enthusiastic, they win.
Well, yeah, because they don't they depend on a low voter turnout. We see it here time and time again. And so, yeah, if they just get a modicum of supporters that are enthusiastic showing up over any kind of counter vote from anybody else, they win. And if they win, then that's it. If they win, they really will button this whole thing up, man.
If they win, the Trump presidency is over.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not saying he's going to be out of office, but he is going to be neutered by a Democrat House and Senate, and he will spend the rest of his presidency fighting off attacks.
Oh, and I think they want to take him out. I think they want to destroy him utterly.
Of course. But even if they are not successful, it's very difficult to remove a sitting president. Our Constitution is written that way.
When you're playing by the rules.
Well, but they have to, and if they're going to do it constitutionally through the impeachment process, they have to follow the rules of the House and the Senate, primarily the Senate. It takes a lot of those senators to sign on. Whether they do that or not, whether they're actually able to remove him or not is a different matter. They will be able to neuter him. He'll never get another thing done, not only through not approving any legislation or coming forth with any legislation for him to vote on, but number two, by tying him up in the courtroom just like they did the 4 years that Joe Biden was the, quote, president. So that's what you're going to be facing if they win the midterms. And if they win the midterms, the communist movement grows in this country. The enthusiasm for the communist movement grows in the country. In 2028, you'll have full-on communists running in the Democrat Party because these guys will replace the Chuck Schumers of the world. They've already said it. Saeed has said that. Chuck Schumer, you're done.
Those guys are all done. They just don't. They're the last people to really understand that.
If they get into power, these guys like this and the girl up in New York and the others, and AOC even, she's the number one choice for them to run for president. If they get into power, you're going to be screaming for Chuck Schumer. You're going to be.
I agree.
You're going to be wishing that you had Chuck Schumer back.
And guys like Bill Maher know that. The people who are actually the rare individuals who are actually talking against this crap, they understand that. But I don't know. If we lose this country to communism, then we deserve to lose this country. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and that's the deal I've been saying about the whole, voter turnout based on the Save America Act. I understand. I don't agree with it. But I understand if people go, well, to hell with it. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not going to go vote because it doesn't make any difference. And I understand that. That's not something I would choose for myself. I'm going to vote. People died for me to go vote. But if other people choose a different path, I understand. I get it. I hear
Well,
you.
voter turnout sucks pretty much anywhere you go in
And
this
that's
country
why.
on a routine basis. Yeah, you don't feel like it matters.
Quick break, more Ware and Rima coming up. Whether your home is brand spanking new or it's been around for a long, long time, Alamo Water Softeners, they have a complete solution for better water throughout your entire home. The all-in-one bundle. This is incredible. You get a premium water care water softener, reverse osmosis drinking water system, leak detection protection, and a water heater. And it's all designed to help protect your home and improve the quality of water for your entire family. And for a limited time, qualified homeowners can take advantage of 36 months, 0% financing from our friends at Alamo Water Softeners. I was their first customer in 2009. I was friends with the owner. He worked for Brand X, and when he started this company, I said, you know what, just sell me your first one. I want the first one off the line. And it was designed for our hard water, and Nancy and I noticed an immediate improvement in our water quality at the warehouse in 2009 when we bought the first one from Alamo Water Softeners. I love this family. I love this entire team that they have assembled at Alamo Water Softeners. And with this deal now, the all-in-one home bundle, you can take advantage of it and save yourself a bunch of money. So reach out to them today online and mention Trey Ware and get them to come out to your home and test your water. They do that absolutely free at alamowatersofteners.com. Sunny with a high of 96 today. Right now, 77 at KTSA. Ware and Rima, it's 8:51 at KTSA.
Well, a couple of things. First off, I did not see the Tom Cruise thing yesterday. I'm not a big soccer guy, so I was kind of. My wife and son were watching it, and I kind of would check in here and there while I was working on some other stuff. So I didn't see Tom Cruise's moment. Tom Cruise, talking about movies.
You heard it this morning.
You played it on the air, so I heard it then.
Yeah.
Yes. But Tom Cruise's new movie looks amazing. It's called Digger. He plays, the world's richest, most powerful man who brings about some kind of environmental crisis, and then he's the one who has to, I guess, solve the problem. John Goodman's in it. But it looks like a really great character piece for them. He's layered up in makeup. The makeup looks really good. He looks like an older guy. I mean, like actually, he is an older guy at this point, but he's playing a much older guy.
Bald and portly.
And it looks really phenomenal. And one of the things that I tell people about Tom Cruise, I've been a fan of his acting. He's a very fine actor. You go back to Born on the 4th of July. He was amazing in that.
He's great.
Where he played Ron Kovic, the Vietnam veteran and activist for veterans' rights. He's played some great characters before he got the Tropic Thunder and played Les Grossman. But most people know him from the action movies, which he also is exceptionally good at. You know, people are really, really used to seeing Tom Cruise roll a motorcycle off a cliff or jump out of a freaking plane or what have you.
Which he actually does.
Which he does all that stuff himself. But when you see him in a pure acting piece, there's a scene in Magnolia directed by Paul Thomas Anderson that he does with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jason Robards, where Jason Robards plays his dying father. And why Tom Cruise did not win an Oscar for that moment, because he's basically at his father's bedside when his father is dying. He wasn't very happy with his dad, and it's this amazing piece of acting. Philip Seymour Hoffman famously said later on that he didn't expect Cruise would go that intense in that scene. And when you see Philip Seymour Hoffman wiping away tears, he's actually crying because it was such a moving scene. Tom Cruise is a phenomenal actor.
He's wonderful.
And I saw an interview. I've been watching a lot of interviews with him lately, and he did an interview where he said, I started off as a kid doing little shows for my relatives. I would play different relatives, and I'd take on their characteristics, and I would take on their voices. And that's how it really began for him when he was a little kid, doing these little shows. And he just one of those guys, as you always knew you wanted to be on the radio. He always knew that this is what he wanted to do as early on as he can remember. He has no classical training. Everything he has learned by making movies and by acting. And I'm thankful to finally see him in a non-action movie. I actually find that his most boring work. I think when he plays a really good character, he's amazing.
I'm going to go see this movie. I'm a Tom Cruise fan myself. And did you see him yesterday with Kermit?
No, a lot of the coverage around the World Cup I just didn't watch.
This was like a impromptu thing.
Oh, really?
Improv. He was just standing outside and was being interviewed by Kermit the Frog. Because the Muppets were there. They were in the halftime show and all that stuff. And so he was talking with Kermit the Frog, and it was actually very funny, even though it was totally improv. He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy, too.
He's a very funny guy.
He's got great sense of humor.
He's got a natural sense of timing.
He really
does. So
I like him a lot.
I'm looking forward to seeing Digger.
And plus, he looks good at his age. What is he, 64?
No, he's I got to look it up now. I think he's older than that.
Is he really?
He's an older guy now.
Well, he looks good.
But again,
for his age,
he's one of those guys who has what everybody says about Tom Cruise is that his focus level is insane.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
In that when he is on set, he is completely committed to what 64. You're right. Yeah, 64.
Remember, he fired several stunt directors, and he fired a couple of actual movie directors because they would not let him do his own stunts. And he said, "Okay, I'm just going to get another guy. I'm going to get somebody to tell me I can
do it." Yeah, know. So I mean,
and he does it all himself, man.
He's a badass. He's the first movie I remember seeing him in, he was a badass. He was still a kid. It was called Taps, where he played kind of a psycho kid at a military academy, and was just phenomenal in that movie. And he was just a kid. Yeah. He was great in The Outsiders. Yeah. He's always been a very, very good actor. The only other story I was going to bring up very quickly, and this is something I'm just picking up on this morning, that we talk about kids in public situations and when mom and dad aren't really paying much attention. We could probably carry this over and do it next hour. But there was a flight from Sweden that almost didn't take place because somebody's kid was going nuts and screaming, and they had to halt the flight or pause the flight. A lot of people were talking. I don't think we broached this subject. Adults-only plane rides, where flights would only be adults and you can't put your kid on the plane. Now, that's a little different than a restaurant. Wouldn't you agree?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But still, if you can't control your kid, you don't come. That's fine.
But, I mean, what about the idea of, like, adults-only flights?
I would probably do it.
You would do it?
All right, more Ware and Rima coming up, KTSA.
The Ramsey Reality Check is brought to you.
Here is that piece from Tom Cruise yesterday.
So as we gather for one final chapter, let us celebrate a tournament that brought the world together. Let us celebrate each other. This is football. This is unity. And this is greatness.
No teleprompter, nothing there to aid him. And then this happened. Okay, fellas, not being somebody who follows it closely, was this as good as everybody said it was, the whole tournament? Because, you know, that's what people said, that Donald Trump got this done in 2018, and he delivered the goods here. This was great. Was it?
My understanding is that FIFA is very happy, and the early word is that the World Cup will be back in the U.S. and or this hemisphere much sooner than last time.
Okay. Just a couple of thoughts here, okay, if you're going to come back, right? And I didn't hear you guys say this, but I will say I agree with you. If you guys said this last week, they do need to score more. This is 1-0. There's nothing.
That's what Elaine and I were saying all week, right, Elaine?
Then you're right. You're absolutely right. I totally agree. The halftime criticism I thought was unfounded because, number one, Shakira was there with her hips, and that was good.
Well, what's the controversy? That they don't do it, so it's like really American-y?
Chris Martin put it together, and it was really disjointed. It was just all over the place.
Yeah, but was there a controversy over just having a halftime show in general?
No. The criticism was how it was done. It was just kind of disjointed. You went from Madonna, and then you went to some other artist, and then you went to Justin Bieber. It was just there was no continuity to it.
It was very quick, yeah.
But there's been some people saying that's how the NFL should do it. Instead of just having one artist at the NFL at the Super Bowl, they ought to have multiple artists.
Like a collage.
And that has happened before. There have been. I mean, speaking of Shakira, she was there at Beyonce, at the halftime. So there have been those who have done it. Anyway, the main thing that I appreciated out of it was nobody bashed my country. And, I'm tired of that. I'm just tired of your crap. I've had it up to here with you rich bastards who made all your money off of this country, and then the first chance you get, you bash this country. I was telling Nancy yesterday, and they're slowly taking away everything all the sports that I love.
Yeah,
I'm seriously, Sean, and everybody seriously considering not watching the Super Bowl or watching the NFL this year. They don't care whether I watch or not.
I thought you already had stopped watching the NFL.
Oh yeah, but I mean, every once in a while, I would tune in to try to catch the Cowboys,
right?
Because they were the only ones who didn't do all the woke crap. They never had a Pride Day. They never did anything.
Yeah,
Cowboys never did any kneeling or anything like that. So I'd catch them every once in a while. But when they did this thing with Bad Bunny last year, I was like, you know what? I think that's – and so here's my point on this. They didn't do that yesterday.
Right.
Not one of them said America sucks. Not one of them said you're racist. Not one of them did anything like Bad Bunny did. And the NFL did Bad Bunny for that reason. That's the only reason they brought him in was for that purpose.
Well, and bashing this country when you've had extraordinary success as a result of being in this country, it's like it requires nothing of you. It's like the cheapest thing you can do is bash America. It's so easy. You don't have anything on the line. No one's going to arrest you for your opinions against the government. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. So, yeah, I appreciated that there wasn't any of that stuff yesterday. I thought I told you at the very beginning, my two reactions were Madonna looks really old and Justin Bieber looks really sad.
Well,
he just
and
always
the other
looks
one,
so sad.
The other one is their trophy's way too small. This is called the World Cup. You got to get a trophy the size of the World Cup. This thing is like, the thing's not over 10 inches long, and they're passing that around like it's the biggest thing in the world. I'm like, Are you when they brought it to Trump up in his tower in his suite for him to touch and to hold and all that stuff? They brought it over to him. I went, "Is that it? That's the World Cup. that's the World Cup." I mean, it's like a kid made it out of Play-Doh or something.
Hey, inflation's tough these days.
Yeah, even the trophies shrink.
It's crazy. So anyway, other than that, I hear it was phenomenal. To me, it goes on way too long. Just my personal opinion, Christian, do not get insulted. I can't have this conversation with Jimmy. Good thing he's out of the room because he gets insulted.
Well, about what?
About just anything you say that might be the least bit critical. But I'm not being critical. I'm saying these are things that they can make it better with.
Oh, you're talking soccer as a whole.
Just the whole presentation. I think it went really well.
It lasted like 20-something days, didn't it?
What, the whole thing?
I think it's closer to 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks. Yeah, it's long.
But didn't Justin Bieber look sad? He comes out with an acoustic guitar and he just looks so sad.
Looking.
Oh, I'm sure he is, but it's like Madonna's jumping around. She's on a car. Everything's exploding. Justin comes out with a guitar and just, I'm going to sing a song.
Well, maybe Justin maybe he thinks there should be more scoring too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Maybe you know what? Maybe he was just bored. Because no scoring. He's like, I'm just bored.
He's just bored by all the low scoring.
I know. It's so bad that how many people watch this sport worldwide, Christian, for the final? Over 5 billion, maybe?
Yeah, it's in the B's.
I'm sure.
Several billion.
It's such a lame sport. It's so boring that the whole world loves it.
Well,
at one point, the whole world loved Hitler, okay, for a very brief amount of time.
No, they didn't. The whole world did not love Hitler. Jimmy, do you know how many, because you can probably back me up on this, how many kids ages 17 to 6 in the United States
it's huge.
Play soccer now?
Huge.
Oh, it's way more than baseball.
Way more than anything.
It's more than
basketball,
everything. More than everything.
Anything. It's huge.
But it's also the most affordable sport.
It is, but
you just need some socks.
You don't even need socks. The kids play barefoot in Brazil in the streets.
And I will tell you this too, Elaine. These guys are in phenomenal shape because all they do is run around.
There's only been one fat soccer player, and it was Maradona.
Yeah.
He was the only one.
Yeah. So
even he was great at one time.
No, I think I really do. I think it came off really well, and that was good because our president did it, guys. I mean, he didn't do all the work.
Right there at the end, though.
It was his game.
I really think the great takeaway also was all these people coming into this country and experiencing America for the first time and crying and smuggling packets of ranch and calling out the media, the American media, for lying to them basically about this country. I thought that was great.
And their media overseas.
Of course. And their media.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say that, well, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, well, that's okay. We'll move on. So anyway, good job, United States of America. Good job over the weekend, everybody who was pointing out how Canyon Lake is now over 100% full. It's been forever. Again, it kind of looks like, it looks like chocolate milk right now. So I would be very careful if I got my boat and my jet ski and all that kind of stuff. You're going to have a lot of floating stuff for a while. Give it a week or so and let that
jet skiing on
What's
Friday on Canyon Lake.
What's that?
Jet skiing. We saw people jet skiing.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. But you got to be real careful with that stuff, and you got to be real careful with your boat. It'll tear a prop up. All you guys that are boaters, you know all that stuff already. But man, so happy to see it back. I looked at Crane's Mill yesterday online, and I looked at a couple other places, and it's just the marina. I mean, the marina, they had to keep moving it out and out and out and out and out. Marina was in the middle of the lake. Now they're able to bring it back.
Clayton had to move his boat out of there, remember?
I shared his picture on my Facebook page because he's so happy. He spent the entire day up there with his new wife.
Oh, yeah,
she's a sweetie.
congratulations.
I met her not that long ago, a couple of months ago, I guess, over at the Angry Elephant. And she's a sweetie. We spent the whole night talking to each other, a couple of hours, and she's just a lovely person. So they're a good fit together. So congratulations there. Lake Travis is full. And again, the same thing applies. I thought it was really cool because the upper Guadalupe River up around Spring Branch and all, it was kind of a raging river. And still the lower regions like the dry Frio and down around the Nueces down south, they're still pretty tough down there. So you got to be very careful. But once it got to, and I was saying this last week, once it got to the Canyon Lake, I said over and over again last week, I think Canyon Lake is going to do its job and hold all that water, and it did. It went in there and it filled up, and it continued to fill up until they're a little over 100% now, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. But Lower Guadalupe was fine. So there were people out there at Lone Star Float House yesterday that were floating around, having a good time, sitting in the water, having a burger. It really was, it was the way everything was supposed to work. They said that all the sirens and everything worked the way they were supposed to work. The sirens are one component. After the sirens go off, there's a voice announcement that is made also from those speakers, and then you get a text message if you sign up for the text messages. So that all worked really well. We lost 2, one in Uvalde and one up in Kerrville. So we lost 2, or Comfort actually. But other than that, everybody paid close attention to those warnings. We now have Tropical Depression 2 that's out in the Gulf of America, just south of Destin, Pensacola, Florida. Early indications are if it begins to form, it'll drag across land through NOLA and across the rest of Louisiana and into the eastern United States. Probably not going to be a big deal, but we'll watch it this week and see what happens.
Well, I mean, again, it seemed like last year kind of woke a lot of folks up to the idea that if you hear it's time to go, that means it's time to go. And everything seemed to work really well this time out. Now, of course, it wasn't July 4th. You didn't have it wasn't the same population concentrations that you had on, the actual July 4th. But, again, all that stuff seemed to work. I mean, we grieve for the 2 people that we did lose, but it could have been a lot. That number could have been a lot higher.
And I told Nancy over the weekend that this is the 2nd July in a row. If there's a 3rd July, I'm going to start looking at cloud seeding somewhere that they're messing around. We know they're cloud seeding. They've admitted to cloud seeding.
It's a communist plot.
No, well, that's not. I mean, they're actually trying to they've been seeding clouds for years. It's an actual program that the country's involved in. But if it's a 3rd July next year that we get a big downpour, I want to know where they are doing it and when.
I want to start looking at them chemtrails, man, up there in the sky. What are they doing?
You should. That's exactly right. Well, Nightly Insurance Group is here for your Medicare, and they're here to help you make those Medicare decisions. They're not going to make any Medicare decisions for you, obviously, as if they could. But they're going to give you great advice because this is what they do, and their advice is absolutely free. Nick Knightley, that's Knightley with a K, and his team of experts in Medicare help you make your way through the Medicare website, which can be a bit confusing, and if you punch the wrong button at the wrong time and you get locked out, you can't get back in the thing. It's crazy. So you want to make sure you have a pro or pros on your side, and this is not a bot situation. This is not a call center somewhere in Kansas City or India. No, this is folks right here, who are ready to answer your Medicare questions. Even if you're already signed up for Medicare, they are here to answer your Medicare questions. If you have a change in your pharmacy or a change in this or that or the other, your doctor, whatever, they can answer those questions all year long for you at Nightly Insurance Group. Here's what you do. Just log on to the website over there, and they'll be happy to help you. Okay, it's Nightly with a K, nightlyinsuranceGroup.com. Sunny with a high right around 96 today. Right now, 79 at KTSA.
Good morning. We do have a
some sort of incendiary device, lower Manhattan, outside of a federal building there. A lot of smoke in that area. Officials are on hand and dealing with it right now. 9:22 with Ware and Rima, KTSA.
They say they already got somebody, and they've apprehended somebody. So we'll find out, I suppose, as the day goes on, what happened there. First and foremost, I don't know who these brothers. Is it Tate? We were just talking off the air. They've been arrested on a bunch of prostitution stuff and sex trafficking stuff in the UK, I believe. And I have no idea who they are. I hear the word influencer, and I automatically go in the opposite direction.
They have been talked about for a long time as being misogynistic. They got the bro club, brother club, all that kind of stuff. They were arrested in Miami yesterday.
Or Miami, yeah.
Yeah, but they're going back to the UK.
Right.
UK has demanded extradition. There have been a number of complaints filed against them about rape by women, which they also faced those charges before in about 2017, I believe it was. So we shall see. I find it I told Elaine just now, I find it very hard to get interested in these guys because I just don't. They don't pique my interest. They don't fire me up.
I hear the word. I hear the I word. I hear anybody claiming to be an influencer, and I just immediately want to head in the opposite direction because I don't know. Something about that just turns me off, man.
They have a lot of followers, but
apparently they
I'm
do.
not one of them.
Well, you know more about them than I do already.
Well, just reading the news.
Right. I don't know who they are. I do want to congratulate Vice President Vance and Usha on the birth of their fourth child, Alec Neal. And I was talking about this over the weekend. You know, one of the criticisms you hear from a lot of folks of a lot of people around, because we've had a lot of babies born to this administration this time out. Caroline Leavitt just got back from maternity leave. Stephen Miller had a kid. A lot of people having kids inside the administration, which I think is great. I mean, they're people, right? They're still living their lives, you know, and they're having kids. They're young people, and good on them. But one thing you always hear is, look at these women with the Trump administration. It's the Handmaid's Tale. They're just producing children because their white rich husbands are telling them to do that, blah, blah, blah. I think it's great. Good on them. You know, they're going to be good parents. One of the more heartbreaking things I think I've heard Erica Kirk say recently is that she regrets she didn't have more children with Charlie before she lost him. You know, what do they have? 2 kids, I believe. And she said that is, you know, obviously she has many regrets, but she said that's the one that sticks with me, is that we didn't have time to have more children because Charlie wanted a big family. He was obviously a proponent of starting, you know, getting married young and having children and bringing them into the world and you know, raising them in the faith. And she said she wished she had more time to have more kids.
Fill your quiver.
Yep, yeah, you know, so fill your quiver. Oh, arrows, right. But you know, just I think JD's I think he would be an interesting dude to have as your dad. I think he probably has, in a sense, the same standard of quality that a guy like Donald Trump has. And then we were quoting or talking about Hunter Biden the other day, who is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Hunter Biden, you look at a guy like that, he is the very definition of the privilege that folks on the left can't normally shut up about. But you look at the people that, you know, Donald Trump has produced as a father, and they're all exceptional people. And I guarantee you, with a guy like J.D. Vance and all of these folks inside the administration who are having kids, they're going to be exactly the same. You look at a guy like J.D. Vance, and I'd love to have J.D. as my dad. I bet he just seems like he'd be a great dad. You know?
His mom, his wife too, Usha.
Right.
She deserves a lot of credit as well. And that's an interesting dynamic because when they decided to raise the kids in the Catholic faith, you know, he talks about this in his book, which I'm listening to right now. I bought the Audible version of it, so I'm listening to Communion. But he says, you know, it's kind of like I went to my wife and I was expecting her to, you know, get these kids up. And he said it's a circus every Sunday morning. It is for everybody who takes kids to church. He said, man, we're no exception. He said, we may live there at the Naval Observatory, but it's nuts trying to get out the house. And I look at my wife, and she says, she's not saying it, but in my mind she's saying, and I'm not even a Christian, and I'm getting the kids up and going through this every Sunday. She's right. She's Hindu, so
yeah.
You know, totally different deal. So
he didn't grow up a Catholic either. No. He converted to Catholicism, which is interesting in and of itself.
He was kind of faithless for a while.
Right.
Kind of rudderless for a while. So
Right.
I can't wait to get into that part of the book and learn more about that. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that. Read it at some point. But yeah, you just congratulations. I think it's a really cool story.
Absolutely.
And to those people who think it's The Handmaid's Tale, and Usha Vance has no say in whether or not she has a child, you probably don't know her very well.
Godless Democrats don't like it when people are having kids. That's a fact.
They
Whether you
don't.
believe it or not, they really don't. And they were saying this several weeks ago, could be up to a couple of months ago, because we commented about it on the air, brought it up, how Democrats on their news channels were saying, oh, what are they doing? Are they having some sort of crazy orgy in the White House?
God.
Look at right. They were saying it.
Yes.
They must be having some sort of crazy orgy. Look at all these kids that they're producing all of a sudden. You people, you Democrats, you're absolutely bat stuff crazy. And I would use the other word. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
You're the ones who are going after the kids with the drag queens and all the other stuff and the trans stuff. I'd keep your mouth shut about kids and who's raising who.
I put a animal and their handlers parade up on my X account, and they're human animals. They're furries. And it happened this past weekend. A bunch of really fat men with those gigantic bellies walking around in diapers with tails on, mitts on, and ears on as they're walking through this parade. They got to be in their 50s, 40s, and 50s. And they're walking along holding signs, and kiddos in Portland, Oregon, sitting right there watching all of the debauchery. That's demons right there. Back in a minute, more Ware and Rima, KTSA.
News Talk 550 KTSA.
For you, money is pouring into the Democrats now. A lot. There's a lot more flowing to the Democrats than is to the Republicans, although the Republicans have more in the bank than the Democrats do, but, man, the Democrats are bringing it in like crazy right now worldwide. Number one, because people in the world, forces in the world, and the Soroses of the world and people like that, they definitely want to get rid of Donald Trump, and this is their chance to do so. James Tallarico is number two. Number one is Ossoff out in Georgia, the fundraising. Number two is Tallarico. He has brought in about $70 million, and so he's doing extremely well. But he had a town hall yesterday, and one of his constituents showed up, and James refused to engage this person.
Answer our questions, or you suffer the consequences.
So I'm happy to engage. We'll come to here in just a second. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you traveling in, and I appreciate
I did
you.
it for my people, not for you.
Wonderful, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. And it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. This is what this conversation's supposed to be about. Yeah. So
now that's a Democrat giving him a hard time, and he's having a hard time dealing with it. So, but really, seriously, the stuff that's in his ads, television ads, it's all a lie. He's talking about he lowered taxes for property owners in the state of Texas.
When did he do that?
No, he never did. He lowered families' taxes in the state of Texas. He never did that. So everything that he's saying in that commercial is the direct opposite of who he is.
Is there kind of an inherent insult in doing something like that because you assume that the people that would support you are too stupid to even look it up and know you're lying?
Yes, but they are.
They are. No, I agree.
So there is the insult.
I'm not disagreeing. Yeah,
but they are dumb enough to look it up, and they just, especially in the urban centers of Texas, that's where
Right.
the Republicans are going to lose, and they might as well just write San Antonio, Bexar County off, Houston. Dallas, Harris County over in Houston, and then Dallas, and then, of course, Austin. You write those places off because you don't have a shot in those urban areas. You got to go out and win out in the country if you're a Republican. That's the only chance you got. And Tallarico obviously is opposed to voter ID.
Are you okay with voter ID?
So voter ID is currently required in the state of Texas. I opposed having to
How about
have a
for
driver's
mail-in
license
ballots?
to vote.
How about having to send your ballot in? Should you have to prove who you are? Because that's
Pete,
what Democrats are opposing.
Pete, I just said I oppose voter ID. Currently, it's a law in Texas, but I oppose that law because I think you don't need
oppose voter ID? You don't think the most sacred obligation of our republic, you should have to prove who you are in order to vote?
So there are a lot of Texans, actually hundreds of thousands, who don't have a driver's license.
It's not a driver's license, obviously. Well, right, and it's obviously not a driver's license issue, but he's opposed to voter ID because why?
He wants to cheat because they want to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only logical reason why you would fight something
That's right.
as important as a photo ID to vote in this country when you need the same damn photo ID to pretty much do anything in this country.
Even go to Olive Garden.
Even go to as Stephen Miller said, to get fettuccine, you need a photo ID, but you don't need it to vote. Come on, doesn't make any sense.
Mom with a baby in a baby stroller in New York City. Just strolling her baby along yesterday. Beautiful day in New York. Had lots of sunshine. It's great, strolling along. And the next thing you know, 49-year-old man comes up and throws a phone at the baby. Then the man goes over and punches the baby.
Wow.
Yeah. He's been in and out of jail 25 times since 2018. Forced touching, public lewdness, grand larceny, and on it goes. So again, I ask the question, who are you going to and when are you going to hold these people responsible who continue to release these people? Now, they're not just pushing people onto subway tracks. They're not just shooting people. They're not just stabbing young girls on trains who are returning from their pizza job. They're not just lighting people on fire, but now they're attacking babies. 25 times in and out of jail, 25 times. So I say we should hold these judges accountable who continue to release these guys. Are you really going to wait until a baby gets killed by one of these guys? Is that what you're going to do?
Maybe. I mean, you got to figure out legally how you could do that, though. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, especially if you see a systemic pattern of letting people who should not be let out, and they reoffend, you have to come up with a legal argument as to how you hold those judges accountable. I don't know if it means passing a law or legislatively it's got to happen, but, obviously it's going on quite a bit. Look, you could use Paul Pelosi as another example. Paul Pelosi's a guy who's been, as far as every time he gets behind the wheel of a vehicle, something bad happens, and yet nothing ever happens to him. So, yeah, I agree. Maybe we start holding the judges accountable. You just got to find a legal way to do that. Right? I mean, you can't just tar and feather them. You got to have some kind of a legal way to do it.
And I think you start, and I'd like to see somebody at least try it with an accessory charge, that you're an accessory to that crime because you knew that this person was a threat. And maybe it was the first time they appeared before you, but you have all their other arrests.
You have the record of everything else.
You have all of their priors before you just, and you with 24 other, now this would be 25. So you with 25 cases in front of you, that this guy has consistently gone out 25 times and reoffended, he's back in front of you, and you release him. If he goes out and commits a crime, you are an accessory because you know damn well that he's liable to do that because he did it 25 other times. And you let him go the 26th time, and he went out and beat on a child in a stroller. A 2-year-old baby girl.
Right. Well, I know what the counter-argument would be. The counter-argument will be, well, then nobody will ever want to be a judge if they're held personally responsible for their rulings.
None of the bad,
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that's what they'll come back with.
None of the bad people will want to be a judge. None of the people, none of the people that intentionally release these guys would want to be a judge. You still got plenty of good judges that would obviously, Sean, look at 25 priors and go, you ain't getting out. I'm not letting you back out. Tell me why. You ain't getting out of my jail. Go to jail.
I think there's a lot of dark money behind these particular judges, and the whole idea is to create chaos because you really can't come up with any other argument why you would let that guy out, why you would let any of these guys out.
The Communist Manifesto is to create chaos on the streets, and you start with crime. I've said that for 100 years, that's exactly why they do this. So to stop it, the judges have to go. You have to go to them and say, if you do this, you are going to be considered an excess, and if you probably do have to pass a law, and that's fine.
Well, yeah,
you're considered to be an accessory to this crime. 25 times you let this guy go, and he goes out and beats up a little girl.
If you can make
you're going to jail.
If you can make the argument once successfully, then you have a precedent that's been established, and then you can take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Because you got to have some kind of legal way to do it. But it does seem systemic. It does seem like a lot of them are doing it. And a lot of them seem to be folks with ties to the Democratic Party.
And a lot there's the key right there. They're tied to the Democrat Party who want to do what at the same time? They not only want to unleash these guys onto the streets, but they want to take your guns away at the same time. You see what they're doing?
Yeah, they also want to corrupt our elections. So,
of course. But you see what they're doing is they're putting law-abiding citizens, a little 2-year-old girl who has no chance at defending herself, not one shot at defending herself.
Right.
What's she going to do against a 49-year-old man? Not a thing. What's she going to do against anybody? She's a baby with a pacifier in her mouth, riding around in a stroller in front of her mom, and this guy comes up and starts beating her. No, I think the judge that released this guy for the 25th time needs to face a consequence, a stern consequence, and stop it. We got to stop it.
Maybe we'll create a trend. Well, that's people will start asking those questions because it seems to be happening quite a bit. It happens here in this town.
Meanwhile, the Chameleon was on the stage this weekend. This is AOC.
As in order to win, we need to show deference to Trump by thanking his same ICE agency that has shot Renee Good, Alex Preddy, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, and Johan Sebastian Duran Guerrero.
Yeah, and then she goes on down to Tennessee.
We cannot afford to leave Tennessee behind.
Oh, God.
We cannot afford to leave Kentucky behind, Alabama behind, Mississippi behind, Georgia behind, South Carolina behind.
That's right. Okay, more Ware and Rima coming up. Retirement is not just about having enough money. It's about knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from. So imagine waking up each month with confidence knowing your retirement income has been thoughtfully mapped out to help support your lifestyle, to manage your taxes, and adapt through changing market conditions. Well, that's the power of retirement income mapping. That's what they do at Wealth Watch Advisors. They help turn your retirement savings into a personalized income strategy built around your goals. What they do is they coordinate retirement income, Social Security, tax planning, investment strategies, and estate planning so every piece of your financial life works together for you. Because retirement shouldn't feel like guesswork, it should feel like confidence. And that's what it exactly is with your friends at Wealth Watch Advisors. Starts with a brief conversation. I did this about a month or so ago. No pressure, just clarity. Easygoing folks. And there's no cookie-cutter programs either. They customize these plans for each investor. So call 210-249-5360 to schedule your appointment, or just go to wealthwatchadvisors.com. Wealth Watch Advisors. Retirement income mapping, confidence for every chapter ahead. Wealth Watch Advisors is a registered investment advisor. Investment advisory services involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. AccuWeather sunny with a high of 96 today. Right now, 81 at KTSA. That's my good buddy, Mo Bandy. It's 9:52. We are Ware and Rima, KTSA.
Well, we've spent a goodly amount of time today talking about Iran, and we have 4 service members now, I guess, who have lost their lives recently, 16 altogether, or whatever the total number is at this point. I think I heard the president say over the weekend that he doesn't give a crap about the MOU. Rubio is out there saying that attacking these ships in the Strait of Hormuz have killed the memorandum of understanding. Did they? I don't get the sense that they ever believed that memorandum of understanding was going to have any impact whatsoever. And again, we've been talking about this all morning, that we keep hearing the president say their military is decimated, their navy is decimated, it's destroyed, but yet they keep managing to pull off some attacks. And we've been slamming them for 9 days straight. You would think if the world's most powerful military were slamming you 9 days in a row, that you wouldn't be able to do anything at all, and yet they are. So I think you and I agree that we've reached a point where it's either S or get off the pot. You need to really, you had said that earlier, you really need to get rid of every last vestige of the regime, whoever the guys are that you're working with, if you're gonna end this thing, because they're not going to give up. They're religious nuts. They're not going to give up.
Last time we talked about this, Jimmy said, and Christian agreed with him, that it could be that Trump doesn't want to decimate the 90 million people in country. I want to offer another, maybe an idea as to why he has not just destroyed them utterly and removed this regime. They're friends. Remember who
China and Russia? Or yeah.
Remember who the friends are to Iran. And so President Trump may be having to play an extremely careful game that he does not bring about regime change, because that could bring down the wrath of those two. Remember, the axis of evil, the new axis of evil these days, are those 3 countries. And Iran has been doing the bidding of both Russia and China. In China's way, they have been supplying China with extremely cheap oil. $8 to $12 a barrel. We pay 82 right now. As of this very moment, we're paying 82. China's been paying $8 to $12 a barrel. I guarantee you China doesn't want anything to happen to that regime. And the same is true with Russia. Russia is also receiving some oil, but they are also selling a lot of oil down that way as well. So the only thing I can figure at this point is the president has the word. If anything happens to this, you can go ahead and make sure they don't have nukes. We'll go along with that. But if anything happens to this regime, you're going to have hell to pay. And that's the only thing
meaning
I can...
us.
Meaning us.
Right,
meaning us. That he's having to tiptoe through the tulips very carefully.
You nailed it.
What's that?
You nailed it.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's their friends?
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Well, and that's... You know what? In 30-some-odd years, it's the first time she's ever said that to me.
That you're right about something?
That you nailed it?
What were you going to say?
Do you think Russia has the ability to make that kind of a threat, given where they're at right now?
Russia and China together do.
Just Russia.
You betcha.
Just Russia.
Well, I mean, maybe. They still have the big N. Okay.
Yeah,
they have the N word,
but that's mutually insured destruction.
But still, they
the U.S. has them. China has them. China doesn't have a navy that's going to compete against the U.S. right now. So I just wonder. Now, China could have financial leverage, but who do you think's really pulling the string? If you're right, and you could be, who's pulling the string harder, China or Russia?
Oh, China. No question, China. Because what first thing China would do is move in on Taiwan. Okay, that's the first thing, and then the cost of everything electronic that we deal with, which is our entire lives.
Yep.
Okay, that all skyrocket the minute China does that. So I don't know. I'm postulating that as an idea as to why he's soft pedaling this thing and tiptoeing.
I have no idea.
They have some very. It's kind of like the bully on the schoolyard picking on a little kid, and then 2 dudes show up and go, "You ain't touching him no more."
But wouldn't you have anticipated all of that going in?
Yeah.
Why would you wouldn't see Russia and China in the room?
You would hope so, but you never know. You honestly
I don't
do
know.
not
It's
know.
perplexing. I mean, it feels very strange. Like, why aren't you just finishing the gig? I mean, maybe it is the 90 million people. Maybe I don't know.
It is the only thing that makes sense, as to why he wouldn't have just said, boom. It's the only thing that makes sense for 47 years. Okay.
Well, yeah, but
why
this is a whole new era. Trump's a whole different kind of president,
right.
so he would have anticipated all this stuff. That's what's strange to me.
And that's why for 47 years he seems to be doing the same thing that the other presidents have done, which is being led along and led astray by these guys. I don't know, guys. All I'm telling you is
think he's being led along.
Well,
I don't think he's being led by anybody. I just wonder why he's choosing to do what he's doing.
It's not. They're not wrapping this thing up, and in an expedient manner. And if he would have done it 5 months ago, he would have been better positioned with the midterms. So we'll see.
We shall see.
Hey, I'll see you next week.
I'll be back next week.
This is Sean's Friday.
Yeah, so taking a week off, got some